to the kill zone.
I feel the silence chasing me. Shadows follow me everywhere I go. Danger's near, I can feel it.
Say my name, feel that flame. Welcome to the kill zone. Welcome to the kill zone.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Monday night. Tonight, we give you the coverage of the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series Season 1, Race 16, the Daytona 500 finale race. Here this evening, you better get your popcorn ready, get your drinks, might need a couple of breaks throughout the night. It's going to be a long one of 200 laps, 500 miles, and at the end of the day, we go from 41 drivers that have attempted to become the champion of this first season, and we'll have just one driver crowned. The question is, will it be Drew Blaze who enters in with an 18-point advantage, or will it be Austin Mice coming in with the late surge to steal the crown? It's going to be a fun evening of highs and lows and where can you goes. But for us, we're proud to give you all the coverage on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me this evening will be Zach Hall. And Zach, it's going to be a long night. Luckily, we're not going to be the only two doing this thing. We also have Robert Moyer Jr. running productions in the background. But what a season it's been. We joined after the season had started, but the journey has to come to an end here tonight.
That it is, man. It is all going to come here to an end at Daytona, but what a beautiful scenario that we got here. I mean, it's been back and forth points have been close each and every week. The racing has been close, and it's going to come down. It looks like the two drivers tonight, Drew Blaze and Austin Mice, for the championship. But we can also get us a new race winner possibly, because the super speedways can play up any type of action, and we know how that can play out. So this is going to be fun, and thank you to everybody who tuned in, because man, it's going to be a long ride, but you're going to have to stick around if you want to see how it all unfolds.
Certainly should be a good one. Last time these drivers ran at a super speedway was Talladega, mired all the way back at race number 3, and that was Justin X Johnson getting the victory lane for the 10 machine. Could tonight be a night that he sweeps the super speedways, or like Zach said, it could be a brand new winner this season? We're excited to give you the call here tonight. Gonna be no stage break, no fast repairs. And I think shocking thing, Zach, I know usually when you come to a super speedway, they say no tires are needed, but only 3 extra sets of tires sit in pit road for tonight's race. And of course, still following the same penalty system of 14x. You get a drive through, 20x, you're parked, meaning one big wreck, your night could be over in an instant, one from just damage repair, or you get disqualified if you grab too many incident points, which is going to be the main thing of note this evening for Drew Blaze. All that the 88 really has to do here tonight, stay out of trouble. You can lose big points here tonight. Every 4 incident points that you grab is docked 1 point, and if you're the cause or at fault for causing a caution, that's a docking of 5 points. So for the 88, it's just keep your nose out of trouble. Same could be said for Austin Mice. Mice, on the other hand, his goal, maximize bonus points. One thing that he could do is just outright finish ahead of Drew Blaze for Mice, and he could find himself taking the championship, as we've got 22 drivers registered for this evening. Other ways to get bonus points to help minimize the distance between the drivers: lead a lap, lead the most laps. Also, having the most passes if you're gifted a later position for the starting grid. We're still waiting for the randomization of where drivers will be starting here tonight, as there is no qualifying. Also, if you win the race, it's 1 bonus point. You finish race, 2 bonus points. 2 bonus points if you finish the race with 0 incidences. And the fun one here this evening, fastest lap of the race, 1 bonus point. So those are some of the ways that you can gain this evening. We're going to bring those back up throughout tonight. But Zach, certainly a lot of bonus points to be grabbed, but you got to keep yourself out of trouble to maximize those bonus points.
That's exactly right, Sam. I think you hit the nail on the head for, Drew Blaze. He just needs to have a clean race. He needs to go out here, focus on really, I would say, staying clean for the majority of the race, stay on the lead lap, and be there at the end to pick up the pieces, because I don't think you can go out there and risk to get those incidents. You talked about how this stack up against you with penalty points. Also, if you get the 20, you're going to be out of the race. That's going to put you somewhere near the back of the field. Of course, we don't know how many people are going to get affected by that, but it's a situation where I think Drew is in a spot where he just needs to stay clean, ride it out, and kind of get to the end of this race and be in position there to fight. And if you're Austin Mice, he needs to be clean, like we've talked about, but he's in a tough predicament. His kind of back is against the wall. He is in that situation where he's got to be aggressive to get those maximum bonus points and go out there and score the most and get around Drew Blaze and surmount that deficit that he has. So it's in a tough situation for him, because he's got to be out there on attack, but he can't be out there so much on attack that he's causing issues, because it'll quickly add up for him. Also, if even if he goes out here and wins this race, does great things, he stacks up some causes of cautions or gets a lot of incidents to get to that point, it's going to be for nothing.
It really will be for nothing. As let's take a closer look at how the points have been so far this season. Again, we've talked about the top 2. They're going to be the major drop factor points for tonight's 200 laps. But we do want to give a shout out to some other drivers that have been contenders throughout this season. We got 3rd place in points of Paul Boomer Shine. Technically, still has a wild chance. If the points go crazy and Paul Boomer Shine takes all the bonus points, wins this race, and then we see the likes of Austin Mice and Drew Blaze completely DNF, wreck out, both finish 22nd and 21st, there is a slim chance of Paul Boomer Shine winning the championship, but he needs everything to go right for himself and everything to go wrong for the competition. Everyone 4th on back officially out of the championship, which first driver, Colin Clairhy, Zach, I would say that was the driver. Everyone thought halfway through the season, this was his championship to lose, and ultimately he did not grab it at the end of the day.
That's for sure. Yeah, I think when we first came in here, the first few races, it kind of showed, early that Colin was going to be the driver to beat. Then Drew Blaze kind of flexed his muscles. Austin Mice had such consistency throughout and got to grab some wins. Paul Boomershine showed up late, but after it's all said and done, how the races unfold, how things have played out, Colin Clary's got caught up in a lot of things, unfortunately. And Drew Blaze and Austin Mice have done their best to just stay out of the mix, and Blaze has also performed to perfection really at the end of the season. So it's been fun to watch, but 18 points is what it's going to be between these two when they start the race. We'll have to see what it is when it all comes down to the end.
I also want to give another shout out to Nicholas DeFrancesco, 5th in points. He has also been a major factor just on the cusp of being one of those top 3 drivers. He's been finishing in the podium finishes, but he's yet to get that win. And tonight be the night for the 24. Other exciting things have been happening this season. We've ran at so many different tracks. Let's take a look at that journey on the schedule so far this season. When we hopped on board, it was at Richmond at race 5, but those first 4 races, Auto Club, Las Vegas, Talladega, and then the 08 Atlanta, otherwise known as Echo Park Speedway. You saw Austin Mice, Clary, Justin Johnson, Clary again. It was just a lot of seeing Colin Clary get into victory lane, but once we hopped on board at Richmond, that's when Blaze started to ramp up, show that intention of being that driver. We saw also the likes of Mike Fahey in the mix as he finally got his first victory at Charlotte, and that was a cool one to call. But recently, Zach, it's been wide open. I mean, we've seen a lot of different winners recently, and it's been the top contenders just trying to keep themselves out of trouble, but trouble has been right on their heels.
That it has. We've seen trouble for leaders a ton during this season. So, it could start off well for one of these guys really to go in here at Daytona, and you never know, you're going to get caught up in something. So, and it's Daytona. This is the end of the season. Everything is going to be on the line. There's going to be some wild moments. I'm for sure of that.
And speaking about trouble, we love it. If you haven't seen it already, go check out our most recent on YouTube short or on TikTok. If you check out all of our social medias, on our most recent short, that's all about me saying trouble a lot on our last broadcast Thursday nights for the 802. It's been a fun one so far getting into our content making journey on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, slowly dipping back into it. But tonight, Zach, a long race. Speaking about content, it is going to be a lot of factors for these drivers. Everyone is, if you're racing here tonight, you most likely have watched the Daytona 500. This is a long race. This is going to be not just a regular long race that we've seen this season where it's 60 to 70% of a full-length race. This is a full-length 500 miles of constant focus that these drivers have to handle with, and it's in the GEN6 car that this is going to be our first time for us broadcasting in a while, watching this car at a super speedway.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I like to say, endurance race of not only the physicalness of this racetrack, because it's actually physical to race around these sims here in this super speedway format, just because of how hard your heart rate will go up. But it's more of a mental game than anything. This is a really long distance. I mean, I've done a few of the official Daytona 500s in the iRacing sim, and every time you get down to like that last 50 laps, you're kind of feeling it, the brain fog kind of move in of, man, this has been a long one, so it is intense, and these drivers are going to have to stay on top of it all the way throughout and just be in position. Like I said, you never know who can win these things at these plate tracks. It could be the most unexpected of winners, and what a way to do that too. It would be for these guys to close out the season, because I think that's the coolest thing. Normally you start the season with this race. Now to end it, it kind of would put such a stamp on a season for somebody maybe.
It really could. Last time, again, we raced at a super speedway, and this car in this league was Talladega Race 3. I had a total of 11 different leaders, 17 lead changes in 4 cautions. That was 120 laps at Talladega. We're doing 200 here at Daytona. Going to be a long one of sorts to watch out for. But Zach, I'm looking at that last Talladega race with the 4 cautions that were made. Only 3 drivers came out of that race with 0 penalties gained for losing points. That was Jordan Maddox, Drew Blaze, and Harold Crow were the only 3 drivers to leave Talladega not losing any points. Everyone else had 4 more incident points, so they lost at least 1 bonus point that they could have just kept for themselves. The driver that tied with the most points lost that day, Austin Mice. Those drivers need to flip if Mice wants to have a chance for the championship here tonight, because if he has a similar evening like tonight, like he did at Talladega, Austin Mice's chance of a championship could be snuffed out, as we're less than a minute to go. I mean, Zach, when you're trying to prep for this, I know it's all about finding your teammates, but what are some key factors that you're going to be looking for here in the early goings of this race for these drivers?
I think the key factor for a 500-mile race here at Daytona, especially when you don't have any stage breaks or anything, you got to be thinking strategy and big picture of how you're going to play this race. You got 3 sets of tires in pit road. You're going to want to run this tank as far as you possibly can. The reason I say that is it may not open up a different strategy book, but it puts you in different situations to where you have, availability that comes up late in this race that may not be there. You catch a timely caution because you stretched it a little farther. You get in a position where you can take less fuel, be on pit road for a shorter time. It's going to be really critical, and I think 500 miles, not only to stay out of the mess, but the strategy has to be very, very important if you want to be up in the mix.
We're starting to see more people hopping in the chat. We love the fact that you're coming in, supporting. It is about to be the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series Season 1 finale from Daytona. It's going to be under the lights here this evening for these 200 laps. And the drivers, well, their starting position is randomized. It's just being put in, and we're about to have our starting grid for the final race of the season. If you're able to, we'd love if you could put it in the chat. Who are you rooting for? Is there a group of drivers? Is there one single driver you're rooting for? We want to see who is the fan favorites here tonight. The grid's starting to be put in, and it looks like they're set. They're getting on track, and it's about to be race time. And taking the final pole of the season and starting up front, your front row will be Harold Crow in the 33 with Corbin Reich in the 21 to his outside. Behind, we find Mike Fahey and Greg Watkins. Guys, some drivers have gotten into victory lane here of recent. We'll see if they can continue on their winning ways here tonight. In 5th place, it's the 23 of going to be Paul Olson with another Paul to his outside. In 6th, the 92 of Paul Boomershine. The 51 of Chris Klein and Chris Lonis will be the Chris's in 7th and 8th, with Joseph Augusta in 9th place. And finishing out our top 10, it's the 30 of Caden Watts.
Starting in 11th, it's going to be the 37 of Jordan Maddox, with Kenneth Blackburn starting in 12th on his outside. Winner from Talladega starting in 13th, that's Justin X. Johnson, with Colin Clary in the 7th starting 14th. Jacob D. Booth will start in the 15th position, with Nicholas Don Francesco starting in 16th. 17th is going to be the 89 of Eric Dillingham, points leader, championship favorite maybe here tonight. Back in 18th, that's going to be Drew Blaze. He gets the EOL also for being a race winner last week. 19th is going to be Austin Groel in the 94 machine. 20th is going to go to Austin Mice, the other championship contender. Ken Couch is going to start 21st, and rounding out our 22 cars here tonight is the 85 of Alan Swan.
Big things for Drew Blaze and Austin Mice, both getting set further back in the field. Zach, that gives them both great opportunities. Most positions gained is a bonus point that is on the line for the both of them. That's 1 bonus point that could be there at the end of this race. The 22 drivers are set and ready for tonight's evening. I know a lot of them are excited for how this race may conclude, but it is a long one. 200 laps in total, no stage break. So these drivers, if they kept it clean and green, we can go all the way through, and there is no absolute of a caution being thrown. Some of the end of the line penalties are starting to be given out. Kenneth Blackburn in the 155 is going to be sent to the end of the line, and like Zach said, Drew Blaze will also be sent to the end of the line after his win last week. But here we go, Zach. I mean, we're all sitting in anticipation to start moving from the grid, but these are your final moments to collect your thoughts before you go green. One of those racing moments where you got to make the hard choice. Do you get up front or do you head to the back? Because we know those are primarily the spots you want to be when racing here.
That's exactly right. This is a lot to think about for sure. And, if you're Austin Mice, like you said, you have the ability now to gain the most positions technically of everybody. If anything, you can get that bonus point. if you can go up there and grab the victory, of course. But you know, I think the biggest thing for him is, yeah, you can get a lot of bonus points by going up there leading the most laps. I don't think he needs to be too aggressive here too early. You got plenty of race here. If anything, you need to methodically work this race out and feel out the drivers around you. You know, that is the one thing I think at like these plate tracks that a lot of drivers kind of put themselves in bad situations, because you're not knowing the driver that you're around and what kind of move they're going to pull. You got to kind of predict what they're going to do before they do it. And if you're not on top of that, I think you'll put yourself in some bad situations. So if I'm Austin Mice, I'm kind of slowly working my way, if I can, forward and not trying to force the issue and cause anything here early.
And Zach, I think there's a big question mark is looming over everyone here tonight. It is super speedway racing. You will be bumping one another. You will be very close to one another. And we've seen this season with this car, there is a major netcode issue where drivers are hitting each other without intentionally hitting each other. That's the thing I'm concerned probably the most entering tonight, because that's how you can lose an incident point if you accidentally wreck somebody with that netcode tap.
That's exactly right. Yeah, you can easily do that. So it's those situations are where you want to give a little extra room early. You know, the side drafts are powerful. That is a powerful tool, but you don't want to go in here early in this race, I think, and be right on the door of the guy on the inside line, you know, pinching him to the bottom. I think, you know, for 200 laps here, you can kind of get some room here early, but at the end, you can get definitely aggressive with those, and we'll see definitely some netcode issues pop up probably with those heavy side drafting moments that you have to be door to door here around this track.
Yeah, out in chat, we got some fans for Paul Boomer Shot. We got some people rooting for Greg Watch and Sky. We also have the Maddox crew out there, but all eyes are placed on two drivers, Drew Blaze, Austin Mice. We waited to have the Super Bowl of NASCAR racing, the Daytona 500, not to start the season, but to the end of the season. It's time to crown the first champion of the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series in the GEN6 car. Green flag is out. It's going to be Harold Crow, Corbin Reich, taking us and the rest of the field green down into turn number 1.
Great start from everybody right out there in front. It stays side by side, and Reich able to pull actually a nose ahead here as they head down into 1. Can Crow get the push to the main car? That's going to be the first question, but looks like now the inside will fight a little bit back here as they come off of 2.
Find out who wants to be in charge. Going to be a couple of drivers dropping to the inside below that double yellow line. And will be the 3 of Chris Lannis that wants to give up a couple of positions, get back with a group of drivers that he feels comfortable with. And that's going to be a lot here tonight. Can you find the comfortability to work with one another? Seeing a little bit of bumping up front of Greg Watson, Sky, and Reich on the outer groove of the 5 of the 21. Harold Crow with the nose ahead, but there's a big run on the outside who will lead lap number 1. And it's Harold Crow in the 33 that will take that lap led, as now the outside row getting a good push and run to get up front. And Zach pushing through the corners, we know it's going to be a dangerous thing. There's a couple of drivers that missed out on that Talladega race, so this is a learning experience for a lot of drivers here in the early going, but in a good sense, that outside row is very strong if you got drivers willing to push each other.
That's one thing I'm seeing for sure, Sam. It looks a little bit wiggly. These bumps are going to be wild, and from what I can remember, these Gen 6 cars were very, very aggressive with the bump back in the day, so these should be some interesting moves, and I think that outside line should have some good strength up top here, and we should see actually some great racing where both lines will be able to be utilized. It's just going to depend on those pushes from the drivers behind.
Who's willing to get aggressive? Who's willing to back off? Already seen a major group of drivers deciding, let's just opt out and not even be a part of this front pack. Already top 15 in their own world. 16th back to 20 is a pod of 5 drivers with each other. Hayden Watts, as well as Joseph Augusta, have completely lost the lead draft, and they're just on their own, and that is a frustrating feeling on lap 3. You already lost the pack. It's not where you want to be at all.
That's definitely not where you want to be for sure. So we'll see how this works out for this grouping back here. The thing, the concern I have with being in a group like this is if it does stay green for a very long time, you can get in a scenario where you can get upwards of 20 seconds back if you're not careful. So I think this group needs to stay within 3 here, because right now they're only about a second and a half back from that front group, so they're still getting a little bit of a tow slightly from that group. But if you get 3 seconds back from them, you're not going to be getting really any kind of sniff of that draft. So this group's got to be careful. And looking lap times wise, they're still dropping back.
Lap time wise, they're losing ground. But honestly, when watching this lead pack, the way that they're kind of shuffling around, being that second group is not the worst place to be. With the ways that these drivers are getting a little bit antsy, especially off the exit of the corners. These drivers are wiggling. If one driver has a misstep, we're going to have a collective of drivers out of this thing. Again, no fast repair for tonight's race, meaning if you take on damage, you have to go into pit road and take that damage and repair it. And Zach, that is an evening that you don't want to deal with, especially with being at a super speedway type of a track.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be in that situation for sure. And like you said, I mean, the group in the back, they like to see the dancing back and forth. As watching this guy in the front here making a big move is actually, they're going to wreck.
Oh no, there they go. First wreck in him, big one. Harold Crow, Colin Clary, and a couple of others getting mixed in. Trying to stay out of trouble is the 97. As the second pack, they come into the incident as well. Drivers piling in and not slowing down. And looking through, trying to make sure Blaze made it through cleanly. And Zach, the 88 in that second pack, were trying to stay out of trouble. And luckily, Blaze got on the brakes because he almost was a part of it.
He almost was. Actually, he got a little bit of a tap from the driver behind him because he was slowing up, making sure to check up for that. So I think Blackburn might have got him. But you see up front, it looks like the 2 was involved in this. And unfortunately, they came together on that outside line. And Clary, you can see once again, caught up right in the middle of the mix, but it was Austin Mice who almost got it. And then you can see right here in the background, there's Drew Blaze going around the top. He luckily got through, but there was some other drivers getting caught up in that second pack, like you said, late.
Well, 22 drivers entered this race, and we might be left with just 14 for the next 195 laps. There are so many drivers with required damage. Blaze getting through, and what a wild event to see as the second pack. Here's what happened to the 97 of Austin Mice. I do believe that Blaze did take on damage as he got slammed in the rear. And oh my goodness, where was Chris Launis and Ken Couch going as they ran in? I mean, Zach, you're part of that second pack. Even leading the second pack, you have the time to react, and they just did not with the field in front.
Yeah, that was unfortunate situation. I think it was like they checked up, they hit, a few of them bumped into each other, and then from there they kind of didn't check up after they got hit. So I mean, Justin Johnson was destroyed there, Eric Dillingham, multiple others who just took major hits. And like you said, we're going to be down to at least 15 cars for sure. I know there's a few guys there who had meatballs that look like maybe could be repairable, but it's hard to say. Look at that hit. I mean, that is a massive one.
I mean, and that's not even the initial caution. That's just the ricochet of the second pack that was 2 seconds back running into the incident. Still with required damage, going to be the 10 of Justin Johnson. You see him just limping his way into pit road. Harold Crow in the 33 with required damage. Chris Launis' required damage has been removed. He's currently working on some optional. Already out of this race and gone is Jordan Maddox. So I'm sorry, Maddox crew. Your driver's already out of this thing. Kenneth Blackburn, who got an end of the line penalty to start this race off, he is currently has gotten the required damage flag removed, but is still dealing with damage repair. Eric Dillingham, Ken Couch both have required damage, as well as Ken Couch having a black flag on top of that. And Colin Clarkey in the 7 already gone from the session, doesn't even want to think about the repairs. And that is a frustrating place to be, as Paul Boomershine getting a little bit of extended damage repair. Drew Blaze, Zach, his 0 incident bonus point that he collected back at Talladega, well, he will not be grabbing that here tonight. Had damage repaired for the 88. So that at least is a bonus point that's still in the hands of Austin Mites. If he can keep himself out of trouble, the 97, that's more bonus points that he could have over the 88.
That's for sure. Anything he can take, he'll take at this point. So we'll see how that works. Everybody, too, will say came down the pit road except for our leader, Joseph Augusta. So everybody taking the elected to get some fuel, and I think that was a smart decision from everybody. Augusta, I think, in the situation where he's going to be either coming to pit road this time maybe, or he'll be staying out here to try to maybe lead a few laps. We'll have to see.
I think he's going to stay out. Again, Joseph Augusta, one of the learning drivers of the series. He is always he's on the lower end of experience and trying to get faster every time that he can, but it looks like for the 25, he will stay out. Showing signs of potentially being on the inside on this restart, which the rest of the field, we'll see how the 25 can handle being up front and really get out of the way as we are given the 1 to green sign. As we are going to be going green this time by still in pit road getting damage repaired is going to be Justin X Johnson, Ken Cow, Gerald Crow, Chris Launis, as well as Ken Blackburn and Eric Dillingham. Coming in to get extra splash of fuel, Paul Olson, as well as Austin Gruel coming in with this lap. 1 more lap to go. 14 drivers, Zach, going to be out on track. This is not what we wanted to see, but this is kind of where the cards have lined up for us, where we've got a smaller field now with still over 190 plus laps to go here from Daytona.
It shows you Daytona is a place, Talladega is a place that you show up, you think, man, I got 200 laps ahead of me to have a long race here, ride around and figure out how to put myself in position. And then next thing you know, it's lap 7 and you're sitting on the hauler and you're going, well, night's done early. I guess we'll figure out something else to do because Bud I'd said it. So that's a tough situation to be in as you're a driver. But we'll see how it works out. I mean, like I said, it's made the field definitely a tad bit smaller here. We'll see if any of the other guys get some damage fixed and get back out there, because you never know. There could be enough cautions to where you're 2 or 3 laps down. Even you could possibly get those laps back. So I still think there's plenty of fight left if people have their cars able to get fixed. But there was so big a damage that I think the totals are just going to be very high. And it looks like King Couch also has a black flag and he's a lap down, so he may go another.
Yeah, there's a lot of, if you're going to have problems, make sure they happen early enough that you can recover from them. And for some drivers, at least their night ended early, so now they can go do other things. As up front, 25 of Joseph Augusta is going to be the lead driver, and he is already going, and we are gone, I guess. I mean, he took off way before the restart zone. And the 25, a bizarre start. As everyone else is following him. I guess we're green, Zach.
Interesting, yeah. I mean, he went as soon as the race car was off the racetrack, so we'll have to see. I mean, he didn't get no black flags from iRacing, of course. I don't think they have the start zone enforced from iRacing, but I think his issue is going to quickly see these guys line up, and we're about to see that 2.5 gap that he has here. It's about to be gone here in about a blink of an eye as they come off of turn 4, and they're going to have a big run on this 25. It'll just be interesting to see how do they navigate around him. Does he hold the bottom, or does he just jump up to the top to let him go around?
What is the 25 going to do? As Fields running him down, he's staying low on that yellow line, but like you said, where will he go? I'm expecting everyone to try to get by this 25 as soon as possible. The question is, will he block, defend, move up, and he'll stay low? As Chris Launis is going to be getting back out on track for the 3 machine. Everyone else said, Joseph Augusta, thank you for leading your lap. Now drop to the back as they drive on by. And I mean, doing exactly, I think, what we were expecting, Zach, of everyone had their fun for those first 7 laps. First caution comes out, wipes out majority of the field. Now let's all get in line and take it easy here as we just have a little bit of a train, probably for the next, until they pit again.
This might be a little bit of a ride along here for everybody, because I think everybody knows the situation now. Oh, wow, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars wrecked out of this race. I mean, they don't want to be one of them, and that can scare drivers. It is crazy how fast an incident can change the whole complexion of the way drivers race around each other. And I think that incident, if anything, changed the whole complexion, because drivers now just going to pretty much be in a situation where I think, hey, we're going to ride along, save as much fuel, maybe get a different strategy out of this. It's going to be interesting to see who really pushes the pace and who doesn't.
I mean, we only have 10 guys right now, Zach, that are connected in this lead pack because of the way that restart went down. So many drivers dealing with damaged and wounded vehicles. Only 10 are connected in the lead draft, as Caden Watts and Joseph Augusta got trapped side drafting each other at the end of the line. The 30 lost the draft. The 25 went from the lead back to the battling for 11th. In the top 3, being Greg Watchin-Sky, Mike Fahey, and Jacob D. Booth for a second, were running so well in line. They almost were pulling away from the pack just by themselves with how quick they were working together.
For a moment there, I was going to say, man, we might get a 3-car breakaway. But I think that second group of cars there said, let's not let them get too far away. So they pulled right back up to the back bumper. But like you said, yeah, it's going to be 10-car breakaway for the time being, as Drew Blaze is going to be the last car in that group. Austin Myson 6th, our 2 championship protagonists here, but going to be an interesting situation now, because I think, like you said, we're going to have a majority of this run probably look exactly like this as these drivers manage. And you know, it's definitely a situation for us up in the booth that's difficult, but as a driver, sometimes this can be a little bit easier. I know can kind of almost calm you down a little bit and say, all right, everybody's chilling. You know, it's kind of just a ride along now.
Get in a train, punch in your ticket, and see how long this is going to be going for. As Corbin Reich getting out of the way, wants to drop to the end of the line. As top 10 drivers just settle and wait. But the 21 got to be a little bit concerned. He's got to get in line and get up to speed quick, because he could lose the draft just as easily as some of the other drivers, as he's just about a couple of miles per hour off. And for Corbin Reich, he's still a couple of miles per hour off, but back to full speed now, and luckily still within a half second. So we will not lose the 21. More drivers are exiting from pit road. Harold Crow going to be the newest driver to get back out on track. And the reason why a lot of these drivers still have that mindset of, I want to stay out there and racing, is because of the 2 extra bonus points for finishing the race. Is on the line for some drivers that are at least, you know, might not be battling for a championship, such as Austin Mice and Drew Blaze, but they might be battling for positions at the end of these point standings that you kind of want a career, you know, finish. So you find yourself getting those extra bonus points to say, hey, I finished out in this position, even though the race didn't go my way.
No, exactly. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's got to be something in the back of everybody's mind for sure. And I mean, even, you know, someone like a Watching Sky, a Mike Fahey, a Jacob D. Booth. I mean, you know, especially for Booth, you know, Anna Klein haven't won this season, or even a Don Francesco in the top 5 who haven't won this season. They want to go up there and stamp a victory here late in the season. So that would be great for them. And Watching Sky and Fahey, they want to add to their total, because late in the season, they've been 2 of the drivers that have been a huge factor. And now look at them, of course, leading the way here in this early goings of this 500-mile event.
Mike Fahey, who runs in second in the 45, only had 7 starts in total this season. 2 of his 7 starts in the 45. Honestly, with how much pace was underneath him, he probably could have won 4 or 5 races out of those 7. Just when some fortunate moments happen. I think of Dover, when himself and Alan Swan got collected with 40 laps to go, when he was dominating that race. There are a couple of other times where could have been a top 5 contender, but caught up with late traffic incidences. But it's been a fun season to watch when Fahey shows up, as trying to bump the right side quarter panel. Not the most comfortable place to give a bump to a driver, but luckily Watching Sky holds on for the 5, which Watching Sky, winner of Bristol a few weeks ago in a pretty dominant fashion. He led over 200 laps of the 325 that were ran.
That is definitely impressive stuff from him. I mean, that's a dominant performance from him. And you know, Bristol's always a track that it's just a track where some drivers, it suits them so well, and it sounds like that night suited the 5. So, well, we'll have to see if he can add to the victory total after that victory at Bristol, and that's appears at Daytona. You know, winning at the smallest track, then win at the also one of the biggest. So that'd be cool for him. But like you said, with the bumps, you got to be careful. We've seen some guys getting a little off center here, even though they're in a straight line and they're just kind of riding along here. Seen some bumps that are a little off centered. If anything, you do that wrong, you can still have a big incident, and you never know, we might be out here with a couple cars, because if this group wrecks, it's going to be trouble for some of them. Yeah,
we don't want that type of a night where we've only got 5 guys for still over 100 laps here at Daytona. It wouldn't be great for the audience members. We would be honestly grasping at straws at that point, but a lot of these guys, it's been fun to see everyone grow as drivers, getting used to everyone's styles out on track. I think one of the first drivers that really caught my eye on aggression levels is Mike Fahey. Dips out of the way, he will drop to the end of the line, giving that engine a little bit of a cool-off window. Is the driver that moves up into second place, Jacob D. Booth at 19. Immediately, when we were watching some of the 1.5 mile tracks, he was one of my favorites to watch, on the fact that he was willing to burn up the tires, go for big moves. They weren't always the maybe smartest or best moves to make at that time and space, but man, did it make it entertaining for us to call. And I hope to see Jacob D. Booth get faster and faster throughout the future seasons as he continues to try to grow as a driver.
That's for sure. I'd have to agree with that, Sam. He was definitely one of the funnest to watch on mile and a half. He was pushing the limits. He was using up that right side door almost on a weekly basis, and it was fun to watch as we got some action going back here. And, you know, I look to the 45, one of my favorites to watch this season. He's had some great moments, and you know, if he could have been here for the full season, I think he could have definitely been a championship contender. So, you know, we know he's teammates with the likes of Drew Blaze, so these two right here riding together. Looks like they're working together now, and might get some action going here as everybody's starting to line back up on the outside here. They got Corbin Reich and Paul Boomershine too.
In a sense of, can you make the outside lane work with just 4 guys compared to the 6, 7 that work on the inside groove? As Greg Watkins guy up front leading the charge. Mike Vahey drops from second all the way back to the end of the line, picks up the 88, and here we go, starting to make a run on the outer groove and starting to see a little bit more movement as the momentum builds up. And seeing Drew Blaze, where is his pushing action? Is Corbin Reich on the 21. Got to get a little bit closer if you want that outside lane to work faster. As Fahey's big push on the backstretch, giving him the run, the speed, and almost the lead. As Fahey is making the charge. D. Booth trying to side trap, but not enough. And it's Mike Fahey who will lead that lap for the 48 and 45. As the 5 just nowhere to go with the 88, giving them huge shove, and it looks to be the time that Drew Blaze would like to get up front and at least lead a lap for himself.
That was just what I was going to say, Sam, is, you know, is this 88 looking to get a lap lane? He's ahead of him, the 45 of Fahey, who might, you know, elect to just pull low here and maybe just, you know, ride a little bit, you know, 75% throttle on that bottom line. Let the 88 clear you and get to that lead position. We'll have to see is right now they're clear of the bottom line as now the 5 fights back alongside the 88, but it was an opportunity there for a moment. We'll have to see if they take it at some point.
And I just, every time they X out of the corner, I'm so used to watching some of the other leagues that we've called where drivers that push the guy to the lead on the outside immediately off the exit of 4 will drop down low, kind of abandon the driver they were pushing to lead the lap or just make a pass for the lead position. And not going to be the case, but we're starting to see the inside row disappear in a blink of an eye. It's just Jacob D. Booth and Greg Watkins guy. No one else wants to follow in suit. The 5 and the 19 are heading backwards as everyone else saw an opportunity to drop high, go high. Now Chris Klein drops low as they catch up to Couch. Ken Couch in the 08, in the 08, gonna stay high. And Klein, utilizing the lap car as a pick by himself, has now been side by side and almost takes the lead position.
He's not going to have the likes of Greg watching this guy with motion, so we'll see if they can kind of shoot back up. But yeah, like you said, I mean, they caught up to the lap car there. They're picking him up on the outside. Now Fahey looks to the inside, but his Couch going to cover off the bottom. He says, no, I don't want to go any more laps down. I'm already 2. I want to hold on to this spot.
To see lap car 2 laps down. Ken Couch is leading the lead pack and now turns this group from 10 drivers to 11. Starting to see a little bit more movement back and forth on where you want to be. And Greg Watkins guy been leading majority of this race and now finds himself in the middle of the pack with Jacob D. Booth, Austin Mice, and Mice in the 97. Still lingering in the back of this group, just not showing any sign that he wants to move forward. I think recognizing he worked 23, now make it 24 laps into this 200-lap race. I still have that ability to hold on to the 0 incident bonus point, which is 2 bonus points at the end of this race if you still have 0 incidences. See if we can carry that forward. But over the driver chat, Alan Swan is spamming, pitting in. Zach, this would be a terrible time if it's the 85 hitting all by himself.
Questionable. Yeah, I don't know if that's maybe, sometimes maybe you hit the button, you know, wrong. I hit it accidentally a few times maybe, but yeah, to say it 3 times over chat, sometimes you will be pitting, but we'll have to see because he's the last car in this group and for the time being does not pit. So maybe it's just a misclick, hopefully, because way early for him, that would put him in no man's land and we would lose a car out of this group.
I mean, he's one of the drivers that decided to pit, took tires and fuel for the 85, and so he only has 2 sets to work with for the end of this race. So it'd be kind of an unfortunate timing to get in and already throw away your race immediately by pitting by yourself. So hoping it was just a misclick. as Jacob D. Booth moves the outer groove, giving a huge momentum surge on the inside for the 97. Maisu cannot use any of that speed as the lap car of Ken Couch trying to stay only 2 laps down, tied with Kenneth Blackburn, who's also 2 laps down. Trying to see who will get the lucky dog's position at this time. Drivers continue to drive back and forth. 25 laps in. And Zach, this is already seen a little bit of shuffling up front, but not crazy amount of movement, as the second pack out on track is now grown. Instead of it being just 2 drivers, now a total of 4 that are going back around each other. And it looks like the 25 Joseph Augusta, as well as Caden Watts, have been caught and about to be passed as they're trying to work with one another.
See if that group can get linked up a little bit and stay closer to the pack and give them more time to stay ahead of them before possibly this front group catches them and puts them a lap down. So that would be good for them in the back there to get lined up, as now Couch, Fahey, and Blaze kind of opened the gap there for a moment to climb. But you look at this, the big run comes from the cars that came from behind, and this shows you can get massive runs if the gap is huge. These Gen 6 cars with those giant spoilers on the back, they create such a big hole that the runs are massive, man.
It's been kind of fun to see Chris Klein learning and making some moves, seeing what he can do by himself. And that's the big thing about these long races. You have plenty of time to attempt passes. Hope the drivers around you allow you to experiment just a little bit here and there. And luckily the grouping on the inside, I've kind of forced to give way to Klein coming down and giving up a little bit of spacing and time as the top 3 continue on their momentum. The battling for, the top 2 with that car of Ken Couch trying to pull away as Klein and Co. have to gain all that time back in another big run for the 51. Where will he utilize it when we hit the backstretch?
That's going to be the question. Where do you go is really with the it's these cars, you can get the run, but once you pull out, you kind of got to have some help, because if not, it stalls out pretty quickly. So we'll see how they line that up as they're coming up to a few cars that were off the back of the pack. Blackburn 2 laps down and Chris Lannis 4 laps down. So luckily they got their 2 cars fixed up. That's given us 17 cars out here at least turning laps around the racetrack.
And I don't know if we're going to be seeing any other drivers get out on track. So those drivers that are officially out of this thing at this current time, still in pit road, is going to be Harold Crow, Justin X. Johnson, Jordan Maddox, Eric Dillingham, and Colin Clary officially out of this race, as lead lap drivers, they're closing in, bearing down, and it's lap cars ahead of them. Better watch out. Where will you place yourself? This is kind of the interesting thing when you are already multiple laps down, is where do you place yourself? You've got some drivers that stick to their guns. We're going to stay low. We're going to force the pack to drive around. Other drivers go immediately down to the apron. I think the fun ones are probably the drivers that go up to the outside wall and forces the field to squeeze down on the inside. That's one of the more stressful ways to get by some of these drivers.
Yeah, that is definitely one of the very stressful ways. You have to squeeze right by him. It definitely can get wild. And we've seen a few incidents this season already where the leaders getting by lap cars is just a lapse in mental judgment maybe from a few guys. Sometimes the leader doesn't give the lap car enough room. The lap car crowds the leader, and it becomes the issue. So we'll see how they navigate this
trouble.
year. They got the
and
2.
it's going to be seeing the 24, Nicholas DiFrancesco, off the nose, down on the apron, as the outside pack was trying to come down and single file out. DiFrancesco is the one left stranded on the apron as they continue to stay green.
Terrible situation for him, and luckily for him, he's got about 15 seconds to the next car, so he could possibly get it up to speed quick enough to where he can line up with them. But man, terrible situation for our top 5 points driver here. He wants to get a victory this season, and now he's out of that lead pack.
And now up front, going to be led by 2 lap down drivers. Kenneth Blackburn decides, Gruel deciding to stay high and out of the way. Now it's Chris Lannis, Ken Couch. You were caught up in the first wreck that brought out a caution, and now trying to stay ahead of the pack as long as they can. As into the wall is going to be Austin Gruel. Got to be careful. Kenneth Blackburn, getting drivers and names mixed up here late. But Drew Blaze not waiting long, bounces to the outside, trying to make some moves and shuffles. as trying to give a lap lead to the 88, and it will work out. Blaze lead a lap, and that is a bonus point for the 88 team.
Great situation for them. That's what they wanted to do. For as many points to put it out of reach possibly for the likes of Austin Mice, and it just takes away a point that Austin can gain over him. So we know he's lost the situation where it comes to the incident point, but now he's gained some of that back with that lap lead. So that's huge for the 88 team, and now we'll see how it all works out with the 2 lap cars still ahead. It looks like Jacob Booth wants to be the first one to the outside.
Jacob D. Booth, Paul Boomershine working the outer groove. And they are having a pretty good run for the 92, who we've seen this season, especially at the 1.5 mile courses, kind of take it patiently in the early goings. And then the second half is when he starts to either step up and be up front in the top 5, or he kind of just lingers in the middle of the pack and will just salvage whatever finish he can find here tonight. Showing a little bit more grit, a little bit more aggression, and wants to get up front. Jacob D. Booth, Paul Boomershine taking the lead spot and trying to get in front of the lap drivers. And I'm curious, Zach, if this is really the call you want to make if you're the 19 and the 92, because you're the rest of the field. This is just giving a sense of let's ride behind the lap down drivers and save some fuel as long as we can.
That's for sure, yeah. You can kind of lead laps while also just getting towed around. So I think it's a benefit as Booth is now really trying to take advantage of that, get with those lap cars behind him. Will Boomershine have the help from the 88 and the 45 to be able to get himself up there? Possibly last is now Austin Mice. He's coming up to the inside here to be alongside with Drew Blaze.
Trying to make the moves. Where can you place yourself as Jacob D. Booth leads the way in the 19 on the inside. Has 2 lap cars behind him in the 3 and the 08. Everyone else on the lead lap. It's Kenneth Blackburn in the 155, about to be losing touch to this group as Jacob D. Booth doesn't want to stay low, drops to the outside, holding back. Where will Boomershine go? He thought about dropping low, stays high in line. Now will drop to the inside, and Paul Boomershine wants to lead that lap, but I believe it will still stay with Jacob D. Booth. No, Boomershine by 2/1000ths of a second led that lap.
Wow, that was wild stuff there. They got the lap cars out of there. Now it's all lead lap cars right here in the mix as Launis and King Couch have dropped back to about the 6th or 7th car in this group as Boomershine blinks out there for a moment. Don't want to see that happen too much for himself as Booth now with the push from the 51 is going to have to run down the back straightaway.
And as all of that was going on, there's still Greg Watchin-Sky as well as Nicholas DeFrancesco that once were part of this lead pack. It was 10 drivers on the lead pack up front, now down to just 8 lead lap drivers as Greg Watchin-Sky backed off, lost the draft with the contact with the 24. So Zach, I mean, at this point, you got 8 drivers up front. We've got 36 laps into this race, but 29 of them was 29 laps ago. Most of the field pitted. So the question now is going to be looming for them. We're at 100% fuel load. I don't know if you know the number when we might see pit stops, but this is going to be a good gamesmanship of when do you want to make this first pit stop of the race?
That's going to be a good question. I think it's personally around the flat 45. So I think with them coming into pit road around like 7 with those caution laps, I think you're going to see them be able to go at least, if anything, another 10 laps. I think possibly another 15. So again, I think with it being a 200 lap race, you kind of want to stretch this again as far as you can because it just gives you a little bit more opportunity and wiggle room in your playbook and your strategy for later. For different types of things. So I think we'll see a lot of them stretch it. Maybe some will stick and say, hey, this is the number I need to get to and I want to get there. But I think your best bet is to stay with this group as best you can.
Officially leaving the server, Eric Dillingham, the most recent one. He was part of those drivers that were just sitting in pit road already. 17 drivers out on track currently, 14 on the lead lap. And looking at the lap times, the last lead lap pack of drivers, that's Nicholas DeFrancesco, Paul Olson, Austin Gruel, Caden Watts, and Joseph Augusta. Augusta just losing touch to that group. But they were running faster than our leaders. So there's a chance that Joseph Augusta, due to losing that pack, most likely will go a lap down. We could be left with 13 drivers on the lead lap. by the time that we get ready for this next pit stop to hit us here. Expected to maybe be here in the next 13 to 15 laps. Matters on how the fuel window's looking as driver is slow, and that is Joseph Augusta, who is just going to come to a park on the apron. Has not towed yet, and we continue to stay green, but a bizarre moment to see a driver come to a complete stop as the lead pack drove on by.
Yeah, we'll have to see. One car went by there also and didn't bring the yellow out, so we'll see what's going on there. But yeah, he's still parked on that apron, so like to see him be able to probably get that car back to pit road or reset.
Continues to sit out there on track. Rest of the field continues to race on, and that will leave us with 13 drivers on the lead lap, and Joseph Augusta has found the throttle pedal and is moving now again. Well, luckily, going to be seeing the lead packer blitz on by as the driver is going 47 miles per hour, 45. And after the lead pack drives by, he finally is accelerating back up to speed, and hopefully we'll see him get into pit road, fix whatever issues going on with the 25 as up front. They are all single-filed, but for how long is the question? With Jacob D. Booth, Paul Boomershine, your front two, Drew Blaze in third. Fourth is Mike Fahey and Chris Klein in fifth. Austin Mice has slowly moved up. He's in sixth position, Zach. So he's between Mice and Klein are the two lap-down drivers of Ken Couch and Lannis. But the 97 has slotted himself just outside of the top five. So if there's an opportunity to bounce up front and maybe lead a lap, he is still right there.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure. And I think he's been quietly just putting himself, in good spots. I've watched him a few times. He's had opportunities to kind of bounce it to the outside, bounce it to the inside, somebody make an aggressive move. He's elected not to do it. And I think he's knowing the big picture here of things. And yeah, he wants to go out there probably and get the most bonus points. But at the end of the day, I think he's got to survive the race if he wants to have an opportunity at the end. And his best bet is maybe something happens to like a Drew Blaze up here battling up front.
Well, as the field is single filed out, we're still waiting for pit stops to happen. I think for us, we're going to take our first commercial break of the evening. 41 laps in, still 260 to go. It's been a good one so far. Thanks so much for hanging out with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Monday evening, watching the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series Race 16, the Daytona 500 finale. The first race is coming to a conclusion. Who will take the championship? We'll find out as we get ourselves prepared for the first green flag pit stops of the night. We'll be back right after this. And we're back. Pit stops underway. Majority of the field has finished up on their stops. Chris Klein going to be one of the last drivers to exit out of pit road of the lead pack, but everyone's scattered, split up. And we went from a grouping of lead lap drivers lapped down that was around 10 cars. Now they're going to be potted up. Pick 2, pick 3. Who's going to work together is the true question in line. And as well, some of those back half pods that were working back in outside of the top 10, big issues for Paul Olsen, as well as going to be Austin Gruel, Jacob D. Booth. A couple of drivers going for some spins and wrecks, and Paul Olsen, black flag, caught speeding, the only driver that was caught speeding. But Zach, I mean, that's crazy to say because of him. He was part of 4 drivers in a row that all had issues entering pit road, but he was the one that got caught speeding out of all of them. As you see, one of the championship contenders, it's the 97 of Austin Mice. 97 currently in 3rd place, but in no man's land. You wouldn't think that he's in 3rd, but he is here, Zach, because Drew Blaze, Mike Fahey tagged up, teamed up, and they are gone. 2.5 seconds ahead of Austin Mice, 5 seconds ahead of Alan Swan. And I'm just a little baffled on what happened. I mean, there were 8 guys together, and now it's just a 2-car tandem that's in their own zip code.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like from what I'm seeing, they got into pit road at least, you know, way ahead of like the Austin Mice, who was behind about 5 or 6 cars. Looks like some other guys made mistakes sliding through their boxes, a few, and then those 2 just excellent on the exit of the pit road. And unfortunately for Mice, because the other guys made mistakes, he was about exactly, you know, like 8/10 off this group, not connected to him, and those 2 just drove away from him. For Mice, though, he's going to have to cut back to Swan, Klein, and Corbin Reich and Paul Boomershine, and hope that that group can at least form, you know, up and find some speed to catch up to the top 2, because right now the top 2 are going to have about a 7-second gap once Mice gets back to that second group.
And here's the problem, that dot ahead, that's Austin Mice. He's so much slower than this group. He'd better hope that he's made allies out of this pack and is under communication, because there's a chance if they blast on around, the 97 could lose the draft. They're communicating at this moment on trying to figure out how they want to align this to make sure they don't lose any more time to Blaze or Mike Fahey. But at this moment, they're going to try to drive around, or Mice will go high. Nope, they'll stay in line, zigzag. Where are they going? And it looks like they're going to pick every lane possible, as Swan will stay as the leader of the second pack. Mice falls into second, and that was the smoothest you could have asked for this second pack on how to get a line and up to speed.
It really was pretty smooth there. Great job by them. So now the gap 7 seconds to our front grouping, which is only 2 cars. We'll have to see, can this group formulate something to drive up to him. The other, I think, worry for Drew Blaze is he's going to be in a little bit more position where he's not going to be able to get as good a fuel mileage by just being pushed by 1 car, Mike Fahey, and I'm going to break the draft for 2 cars like that. So he will be kind of in a tough situation here this run, but doing the math, they can go about 40 laps we've already seen on fuel. He should be really good with having them made it almost to around lap 50 to make it on, you know, 4 stops still for this race.
Well, quarter of the way through, and over half the field is 1 lap down or out of the race. Top 10 drivers, the only ones that are on the lead lap. Austin Gruel, Greg Watchinski. Better be careful. You are being ran down by Blaze and Fahey that are working together. So we could be down to just 8 drivers on the lead lap at the second pack. This is on screen. This is 3rd, 4th, and all those following behind. They are slowly catching up to Nicholas. That's going to be Nicholas DeFrancesco, who's in 11th place. We had a group as we have a ride on board with Chris Klein, and getting a sense of the bankings here at Daytona. 31 degrees of banking through the corners, 18 degrees on the dry oval, and just a mere 3 on the backstretch. I mean, Zach, Daytona is unreal. Same for Talladega. These super speedway tracks are crazy in the amount of banking that they have to allow these drivers to go full throttle all the way around this course.
And easily do it too. I mean, you know, these cars got a ton of grip, and when you add that banking, you add just the restrictor plate that they put on these cars to slow them down in the straightaways and reduce the horsepower, it makes for this style of racing. And man, it's different than any form of racing you see out there in the world. I think it's the only place you can say that, you know, hey, we're going around a track and we're literally just stuck together with each other. You can't really get away. And that's what super speedway racing is. It's a phenomenon itself. And you can see this group. I mean, this is just showing more cars are faster than 2, because guess what? It's already down from that 7-second gap. It's down to just 5.1 to Alan Swan now. This group quickly catching up at about half a second to 16 seconds.
They are doing everything right in line. This is when you're going to be the fastest working with one another. So the fastest laps that have been put down so far in the 45-second marker. But both the lead 2 and this pack in the 46-second number per lap. They're driving these 2.5 miles quickly from Daytona. Alan Swan leading the second group in the 85. He's had high and low moments all throughout this season. This has got to be a fun one, knowing that you are the driver third place right now on track, catching up to the top 2, and there's a chance we could be calling the 85's number leading a lap with how quick they're catching up. But this also, you know, Zach, we were talking about it before the pit stops on timings and finding ways to lead a lap if you're Austin Mice. This is setting up for a chance if he would like to go for a dashing move, could lead a lap and get that 1 extra bonus point to equalize with Drew Blaze.
Completely agree, because when they catch them, especially when they start to get the draft, right now they're about 3.5 seconds back. Once they break through that 2-second marker of those top 2, they're going to start to get a sniff of that draft. And once they break through a full second, they're about to get way more than a sniff. It's going to a sniff. It's going to be a big old toe. And I'm telling you, it's going to be very quickly those top 2 under threat from this group. So if you're Austin Mice, you can time this well enough. You know, continue that run. Maybe Alan Swan's going to look to fall in behind that group. You can go with the run, get the lead that lap, and at least grab that point.
As front 2, Drew Blaze, as well as Mike Fahey, they've done well to be up front, leading all of these laps since they got out there on track 9 laps ago. But they are being caught quickly now, a 45.9 second lap time by the second pack to a 47.0. That's almost a full second difference. And on top of that, you're about to be driving the draft. Zach, this could be the time that we might see some of these drivers put down the fastest lap of the race. That bonus point's on the line. Whoever's got the fastest lap of the race, the end, will grab a bonus point. And here we go for Alan Swan, Austin Mice. They're about to be picking up the toe of the draft. This could be the money lap that you're looking for that fastest lap.
I would not be surprised if you see Don Francesco in the 24, the last car in this group, run the quickest lap of the race, if not this time or the next time around. It'll probably be this time, because it's about a second now, that delta between those top 2 to the leader, those drivers behind. I'm telling you, the gap is just going to continue to shrink. The speed difference is going to be immense from these top 2 compared to the others.
Still a bit away. You're also going to be having the 25, Joseph Augusta, who's currently 3 laps down. Shockingly was leading when we took the restart all the way back on lap 10. Now 3 laps down with pit road issues, running out of fuel issues, just bizarre things that have gone down. But here we go. What does Alan Swan, Mice, anyone else, can they find that extra speed to put down the fastest lap of the day? 46.7s for the leaders, 45.8s for everyone else. That is not even their fastest laps of the day, so that will not be touched, at least on this lap. Doesn't mean it can't be hit, as everyone else is kind of giving space to go full throttle on the backstretch.
I just think they're a little too separated. You know, everybody was kind of not really, you know, stacked up pushing each other. It was more or less they had the little bubble gaps in between them, and I just think you needed to be stacked up a little more to get that big of a run, especially to go around them and to get that big of a lap time. So we'll see now that they've got the grouping here, and it looks like Swan will fight to the quarter panel. Fahey was Maistu. He's got the likes of Chris Klein right behind him. They're stacking up here this outside line, looking for an opportunity.
And the whole entire second pack kind of dissolved for a second as they were all trying to find multiple different ways to get around the lap car of Joseph Augusta. That hurts Swan, but Paul Boomershine sees an opportunity. He'll bounce to the outside to work with the 85. They'll try to carry this momentum forward. Swan trying to side draft to pull back Fahey, pull back Blaze. Boomershine is carrying the momentum to push the outside forward. And Alan Swan led the second pack that carried this group all the way up to our top two. Now the 85 nose ahead, wants to lead a lap here tonight. Paul Boomershine, does he work with or fall outside? Hopping back in line was 87, and it will be Alan Swan leading that lap. Congratulations to 85 for getting a lap led at the Daytona 500.
Great job to him. We'll see what these other drivers around him can do. It looks like Mice dropped back to the inside, so he's for the time being going to ride behind Fahey, but it's Boomershine, the likes of Ken Couch with the push from the top, and the Swan trying to hold position. Does he drop low, or does he stay with his help up top? The question is, how long can his help push without overheating? That's one thing we haven't really noted tonight. You can make those big pushes, but if that car starts to overheat, you could run into issues with that motor.
Looking at this front pack currently, mixture of lead lap drivers, lap down drivers. The drivers that are a lap down that are mixed in between. Ken Couch in the 08 runs fourth driver in line. You also have the 24 of Nicholas DeFrancesco, first driver one lap down in 11th. He's all the way in the back, and then running completely last of this group is the 3 machine of Chris Lannis, who is part of the first wreck of the tonight that took out over 5 drivers, over half the field involved with that at first incident on lap 7. And now it's a race to the end. Who will take the championship, Drew Blaze or Austin Mice? Blaze entered tonight with a 18-point advantage, but we are talking about bonus points that could be rewarded. Austin Mice still has the 0 incident points, bonus points. It's 2 bonus points they can grab at the end of this race, as long as he doesn't get extra contact or hits the wall or in the grass. As long as he keeps 0 incidences, he will find himself getting those 2 extra bonus points. Drew Blaze, heavy contact during that first wreck. He lost that incident point bonus point, so there is a lot of changing up that could happen. And we're still in the waiting games. Where do drivers want to be? Is Corbin Reich showing out? Showing that you can go from the end of the line to getting up front if you find a Paul Boomershine willing to push, because Corbin Reich is ripping the top with a 92 doing all the work.
Boomershine's been a good pusher tonight. He's pushed a few guys up to that lead spot, but looks like they're going to lose a little bit of time. I wonder if Boomershine just can't get to the bumper, maybe has to fight to get that motor back cooled down just a tiny bit, and also has no help from behind. So for the time being, the inside's going to be pulling back ahead, is again Austin Mice being very calm in that top 4 position now, just riding along behind the lap car Ken Couch, who's 4th in line.
Everyone's finding their partner deeper in the field who can find an ally to work with. Up front in line, it looks to be the only driver on the outside is Corbin Reich that will drop to the end of this grouping. There's about 3 other pods throughout the field, and some of those other drivers, Jacob D. Booth, who lost touch to the lead pack after a poor entry. He's currently working with some lap cars, the 155 of Kenneth Blackburn and the 30 machine of Caden Watts. All those drivers had their fiascos of going into pit road, slipping and sliding and spinning around. Other pack of drivers is 10th place, being led by 10th place runner, the 94 and 10. 94 of Austin Gruel and Greg Watchensky, excuse me, with Paul Olson working with themselves. And then everyone else that's kind of on their own is Joseph Augusta. He's the only other driver that is left on his lonesome. Everyone else is part of the lead pack or part of those other 2 groupings. Right now, Mike Fahey and Drew Blaze, they have been the 2 control vehicles of tonight's race. I mean, Zach, this is a tough one. There's only been 1 caution so far, and you can really feel the pain of that 1 caution. One on the fact of how many drivers are not grouped up with one another up front, the amount of drivers that are out of this race, and the small little pods that are around the course.
Yeah, it changes the whole, outlook of the race for everybody. I mean, we had them side-by-side racing, some heavy racing going on, and, it's to be thought that at some point some mistakes will be made, but unfortunately, I think it was really the drivers that couldn't get slowed down that caused a lot of damage later in that wreck that ended up really taking out a good chunk of the field and some drivers who would be definitely, fighting up here for this front group. So it's a tough situation, I'm sure, to be in if you're, the driver's sitting out of this race. But right now, if you're a driver that made it through, you're looking like, man, I just need to keep surviving for the time being because this race is staying green, it's staying clean. Right now, it's execute strategy, and you never know if we can get all the way green throughout all the way to the end to that final run. I think that's when you're going to start to see real aggressive moves start to be made, and I would not be surprised by then we'll probably see another yellow flag because of the bumps.
I mean, aggressive moves, or will we see drivers playing games about saving fuel? Based off the numbers that we were seeing these drivers go on pushing the limit. I mean, Zach, each pit stop is going to be so crucial on how far your fuel can truly go to maybe cut this race into just one less pit stop than the other competition around you. That is going to be the fun thing to see. Or will we see the whole entire pack as a whole make the decision, which we see in real life racing, of, you know, we're all here. There's just 7 of us. Who's willing to just slow down and save enough to make sure that we have one less pit stop than maybe everyone else would have been if we were going at full bore?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how the strategy plays. I know that, like, we went 41 laps there, but you got to equate some of those laps were under caution, you know, so it's most likely pretty close to about that 39, 40 mark, really making it on fuel, maybe even 38 at some points. And I do remember at times running the Daytona 500 in the Gen 6 car, it looks like Fahey and Drew Blaze jumping up to his top. I wonder if this is even a fuel saving strategy for them, because, you know, they did get the help of that early caution to kind of shorten up the runs, I guess you could say, and make it closer for them. But I do say I think everybody still needs to stretch it as far as possible, because if this race did go completely green, being able to go 40 laps on every run would have made this race a 5-stop race and would have been right in the window of, you know, making that. But I think for the biggest thing now is these drivers are trying to put as many laps together as now they're getting 2x2 and racing a little bit.
I think that everyone's starting to realize, hey, we might be seeing Fahey and Blaze trying to get the lap car ahead so they could save that fuel on top of maybe saving a little bit of their engines, as Blaze was trying to find an opening to cool off his engine as much as possible. And Swan just said, no, we are not allowing you to get behind this lap down driver of Ken Couch, who is the driver leading in the inside groove. I'll start to get a little bit more pushy, a little bit more aggressive. Who wants to make the bigger move to get up front? And also, you know, interesting note for the drivers that are in this pack. I mean, Nicholas DeFrancesco in the 24, he is in this lead pack. He's 1 lap down. If the 24 turns on his afterburners and decides, I want to leave this group, he would then unlap himself the hard way. But then he'd have to stay ahead on time of a caution, or if there is yellow, make sure he's not involved with it, and you would then get that lucky dog position. But this is certainly a race of picking and choosing as we're closing in for our next green flag pit stop. Zach, another note, a lot of drivers deciding to use a set of tires under that last green flag pit stop. Usually we see 2 tires, no tires taken. I think that's one thing I'm kind of shocked that we saw drivers take a set under that last pit stop.
It was very interesting. Yeah, I think you kind of space it out between the runs because, you know, you only have 3 sets anyways. Make a pit stop maybe a little bit tiny quicker too. So we'll see on this next stop do people take 4, because if not, what was Drew Blaze? He about wrecked it right there. His Fahey on the apron too. His Ken Couch. I mean, that was some wild moments there in the back straightaway. That 88 was fishtailing. Just
pick your line, go for a wild move, get up front, and no longer wanting to wait is Drew Blaze. He wants to stay in control. Don't want anyone else to be leading laps, especially on the fact that that could be a costly bonus point given away. As I think for Drew Blaze, you'd rather have himself or Mike Fahey be the driver that gets the most laps led. Does not want to reward anyone else with leading more than just 1 lap for tonight's run, especially wanting to hold back the likes of Austin Mice in the 97 from getting his bonus point of lead in a lap.
No doubt. If you can stop Austin Mice from gaining those bonus points, it just puts it in that much a better position. So I think, like you said, it's going to be in the likes of Fahey and the 88. Anytime they see the 97 jump up, or he might even probably attempt, even though he hasn't really yet attempted to come to the front. If he does, I think you're going to see this 88 and the 45 make an opportunity to try to maybe cover that off. So we'll see how that works out. But for the time being, Blaze back out to the front and leading the way as Swan is in between the 2 teammates.
As Alan Swan, second place runner, currently doing well for himself. Paul Boomer Shine runs in 4th. A little bit of an update as the lead pack single files out and is trying to figure out what they want to do. Again, exit to the corners. We're seeing a lot of movement happening for these drivers. But the second pack out on track, where we've got Jacob D. Booth leading that charge with some lap down drivers of Caden Watts, as well as going to be Blackburn. They're being ran down by Austin Gruel, Greg Watchinski, and Paul Olson. So both pairings of 3 about to be turning into a group of 6. And we'll see how well they can try to continuing to chip away on the lead position, or will this group of 6 be ran down by the lead pack? The other driver that is out on track that's kind of by himself is going to be Joseph Augusta. He is all on his lonesome. Everyone else has found their pairings, groupings, and Joseph Augusta about to be passed by the group of 6 that have finally gotten together.
See how if he can hang on to any grouping there, but it's going to be a situation that you want to try to do your best here. Is now we got Booth back here in the 8th position, along with Austin Gruel. Greg watching Sky hanging on to this group, and they're about 35 seconds off the lead. This is a group that made majority of the mistakes coming to pit road, so they're hanging on, Sam. But the biggest thing for them is just staying in the lead lap and maybe hoping for some type of yellow to bring them back into the mix, because you just don't make up this kind of time, especially with having this less numbers.
Open for no caution. You want a caution, but you're hoping it's not you who brings it out. As Watts spooking the 25 up near the wall. Don't want to do that because he'll hit the wall like so. That is, you don't want to spook the 25 in any way. As he continues to ride on by in the second pack. Now at full song. Trying to build up the momentum. Again, 36 seconds back from the lead pack that we see here. And they're just a straightaway difference between Blaze and putting down more drivers a lap down, as we are about 10 laps away from pit stops. And we are on lap 76 of 200. Continuing to rage on. You know what? All these drivers are ramping up. They're giving it a good, they're trying their best to give us a show. And I think we're going to give it a little bit of a crank it up moment. Get these drivers revved up, as we got 2 different packs. We can go back and forth, get some right on boards, and we'll be back with more coverage right after this. Crank it up. And we are back. The question is looming. What brought out the caution? Well, it was the 25 playing a little bit of, I'm going to stop on the track again. But this time he was caught by lead lap drivers driving on through. As Joseph Augusta was leaving pit road, he just stopped. I don't, there's no other way to explain it. There goes the lead pack, and he just stops, and that's what brings out the yellow. And there's space car. Caution's out. As we are not even halfway, and this kind of ruins a lot of these moments as he lets the base car drive on by. And Zach, I mean, this saves the second pack in a way. It allows Nicholas DeFrancesco to get the lucky dog for himself, but a bizarre caution that no one was really prepared to have that kind of ruins some of these strategies that maybe some of these drivers were looking for.
Yeah, I mean, this definitely ruins some strategies for some, but it has allowed, likes of Watching Sky Gruel, Jacob Booth able to come back up here, get with the group. I think also Don Francesco should be our lucky dog in the 24, so that's going to bring 11 cars back on the lead lap. Going to allow some new opportunities for them, but man, that is a shakeup for sure, and yeah, interesting situation playing out here at Daytona.
Certainly is. Well, driver's going to have to pit into pit road. For us, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We will be back as throwing our producer for a quick swing of things, as we're just going to go to a commercial break because that was a bizarre one. We need to collect our thoughts. Drivers are going to collect some extra fuel, and we will be back to give you more racing action as you've been watching the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series. The Gen 6 cars have had an awesome season. Well, let's see what the conclusion of the Daytona 500 finale is going to give to these drivers, as Nicholas DeFrancesco, black flag for himself. But for us, we'll be back right after this. And the second big wreck happens, third caution of the day, and sadly, Zach, it's Netcode that takes it out up front. Trouble as over 4 drivers currently are dealing with some required damage flags, and it's all because of the exit out of the corner. Contact made from Mike Fahey and Alan Swan as Nicholas DeFrancesco gets on by, but it's the 85 and the 45 that get into it. Zach, I mean, this is the thing we were concerned about, and it's out of their control as they were trying to get up to speed on the exit turn 2.
Like you said, yeah, out of their control because they're getting up to speed here out of 2, and you see Swan there, you see Fahey, and there's no contact made. It's just invisible contact there, and unfortunately, that's caused a major hit for both of them, and that's took out some other cars that were unfortunately nowhere to go. I think Jacob D. Booth caught a good hit. The same for Caden Watts. Also, I think Corbin Wright might have caught a piece too, 21. So, tough ordeal. I mean, that's just, again, that's factors of plate racing. We talked about it earlier in the race. Like, it was going to happen at some point, and it's played out now.
And drivers with required damage going to be Paul Boomershine. You're going to see right there, ships him to the outside. Also required damage going to be given out for Mike Fahey and Alan Swan. Black flags were already thrown for Corbin Reich as well as Nicholas DeFrancesco. We'll see if they can get what they have to do for that. We can see Mike Fahey. That was Drew Blaze's shotgun ride and die here tonight, and he is now looking to be out of this thing. He's got a lot of work to get that vehicle fixed up, even if it can get fixed up. We'll see how many drivers are still in this race, as a couple of drivers look to be exiting out of the run. Joseph Augusta officially now out of the running, on top of those other required damage flags of Fahey, Boomershine, and as well Alan Swan. Multiple drivers still sitting pit road waiting to exit. I mean, Zach, this is just dwindling down the field even more. And there's also going to be an opportunity for Paul Olson to get his lap back for the 23.
Huge for them, for sure. And we'll see how Olson can bounce back with that now. He was involved in that wreck, one of those wrecks earlier, got caught up kind of in the second pack, kind of lost some laps there. And now going to be back up in the top group as Chris Klein going to lead the way with Watson Sky in second, Austin Mice up to third, and Drew Blaze back to the 4th position now as, like we said, our 2 championship protagonists. They made it through that wreck there, and that was so close.
So close, and for Austin Mice was just able to escape his way through without getting any contact. So that extra bonus point still on the line for 0 incident points. And what's scarier for the likes of Austin Mice in the 97, Zach, he cannot use the good old exit plan of there's a wreck in front of me, I'm going to go through the grass, or there's an exit plan to maybe go down on the apron at certain spots on the track. You can find yourself getting incident points for those evasive moves. So if you're Mice, you got to just slow down at times or pray that there's a hole that you can blitz through.
That's exactly right. I mean, yeah. Sometimes you really have no choice sometimes to blitz through holes just because those holes will close and quickly you'll be involved in that incident. So sometimes you got to take that opportunity. Also, the interesting things here, we still have 2 cars with black flags here. It's like Don Francesco and Jacob D. Booth. I'm not sure if that'll be just to end of the line black flags for these 2 or what, but we'll have to see if they have to serve something here.
I believe Nicholas DeFrancesco will have to service penalty unless they remove that, because he got a passing under yellow under that last caution. Jacob D. Boost one, I don't know where he grabbed that from because he wasn't the driver who had a black flag before that last caution. That was Corbin Reich who actually had the penalty beforehand, and Reich's penalty was cleared. So we'll see what happens to DeFrancesco and Booth here on this restart, because they might have to head to pit road. In chat, Mike Fahey, though, says, great season, guys. Thanks for broadcasting all season. Y'all did a great job. Mike Fahey, we wished for a better season for you. You were fast. It was enjoyable to watch you. And it was a pleasure to call your races. And we hope that you're back with the Lone Star guys next season. I know we won't be broadcasting next season, but it was a pleasure to call you out there on track, Mike, as much as you were.
Definitely, for sure. Shout out to him out there. in the chat, unfortunately caught up in that last incident there. That was just unfortunate netcode, man. That is heartbreaking for him. He was doing such a good job drafting with his teammate Andrew Blaze, and I think that's going to hurt Blaze also a little bit to not have, you know, kind of a drafting partner like that to work with. Those two were stuck together for majority of it, and we saw how far a gap they had just from pit road, just working together. So we know how great they work together. That's going to be tough for them, but looks like we're about to go back to green flag racing.
Back to green flag racing, and we've only got ourselves 12 drivers, 13 that are running. Only 10 on the lead lap as green flag is back out on the air. Chris Klein, as well as Greg Watch in the sky, going to be under control. Zach, also another thing, Mike Fahey was one of the best pushers all race long. Another one was Paul Boomershine. Boomershine took heavy contact under that last caution. We'll see if the 92 has any other speed underneath him, or if he needs a couple of more cautions to get that fully repaired, as we are back to full racing action. Still black flags on Nicholas DeFrancesco in the 24, as well as the 19 of Jacob D. Booth. And over the radio, sounds like they will have to serve those penalties once we get back out there on track.
Up for them, and Corbin Wright spins himself.
And there goes the 21 into the outside wall. That will collect a couple of drivers. No more oncoming traffic. The 3 stuck in the outside wall. We're still green. Gruel, Reich, as well as Lannis, still puttering their way to pit road. And that is a big one to have, as Nicholas DeFrancesco now enters pit road to service penalty. Jacob D. Booth does not service penalty, and that's required damage for the 21 as well as the 3.
The 3 is destroyed here. I don't even know if he'll be able to get back across the racetrack. He's gonna have to reset. Yeah, luckily he does. But you know, I was checking that out. Corbin Wright there was following the 88, but I thought he turned across the nose of the 03 and kind of caused that himself. But go back and look at it, the 08 of King Couch actually kind of came up and clipped his left rear. So that is so unfortunate that Corbin got kind of taken out there by the 08, but that was a huge hit for a couple of those cars, and Lannis, I mean, was destroyed.
He is out of this thing, gone. I'm keeping an eye out for Jacob D. Booth as our top runners. It is a 4-car pull away as they are gone. Then it's a pairing of 2 with Paul Boomershine and Paul Olsen. It's about 5.5 seconds back. And Jacob D. Booth calls late right before he was about to get disqualified for not serving his penalty, saying what his penalty was, and it got cleared. So Jacob D. Booth stays out. It's going to be in 7th, all on his lonesome. Austin Gruel, who's 16 seconds back by himself, staying for the 24 of Nicholas DeFrancesco. But Nicholas DeFrancesco, he's about to be right back where he was during that long green flag run of caught by the leaders, and he's going to be the first driver 1 lap down.
Yeah, he's going to get caught out here with that for sure. And I mean, for him, fortunately, the next car that he be racing is 3 laps down. So if he can just stay with this group, he'll be in position if we get a yellow. So I think for Don Francesco, keep it together for now, because if anything plays out, you could still be right in the mix of this, as Watch and Sky went to go around the outside, but it was Klein who came back to the help of the 24, and he's going to push that Don Francesco car to the front spot. As now, what does Austin Mice select to do? He thought for a moment to help the 5, but he falls in line to maybe take over that second position.
Austin Mice, Drew Blaze. For Blaze, all he has to do is stay close to Mice. Even if Mice right now gets every bonus point possible and Blaze finishes just 1 position behind, or even 2, Drew Blaze would still be your champion. The big thing for Blaze, he cannot afford to get any more incident points, which under that last, contact moment, I'm just curious for Blaze, maybe he got any recoil, any type of incident points. We know there's invisible netcode contact that can be made, but those invisible netcode contacts can reflect into incident points. You got to be careful for the 88 on that. Same for the 97 as they try to get on by Caden Watts. The 30 machine is going to go now 6 laps down and still out there on track. One of the very few that continue to race on.
Definitely for sure one of the few out there racing on with that many laps down, and we'll see if Watts can salvage something out in the night. You never know, it might be a top 10 before it's all said and done. Is in 12th, for the time being, in 6 laps down. But we'll see how that works out. But yeah, I mean, Klein is elected to put the lap car of Don Francesco in front of him and be in position here to save a little bit of fuel maybe, and just put himself in the best position possible here when it comes to their pit stops. Is right now about 11 laps on the stint, so Klein a little bit farther, didn't pit there on that latest caution, and Mice and Blaze did come down, so they've got 7 on the stint, so they got about 4 laps more fuel in that car.
As out in chat, Jarrett Talmadge saying 4-1 out for the commentators, only 85 laps, and it's 8:30 in the Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, it's a little late. We still almost done with the first half of this race. See how many drivers can make it to the end. But Jarrett Talmadge is going to be one of those drivers to watch out for. We will be carrying on commentating on Monday nights here in 2 weeks, as we will be giving you coverage of the Trinity Racing League. Zach, we're back with Trinity. We're excited for the return back to a league that we've called for a very long time. Sadly, we won't be back here for the Lonestar guys, but our Mondays will continue to stay busy, as we will be taking off next week and then the start of the Trinity Racing League season in 2 weeks.
Definitely a story time we've had with them for sure over their mini seasons, so gonna be interested to see how their league plays out with the Xfinity car and everything after being a season off there from calling the action. So be cool to see those Xfinity cars go to battle and see how they can figure that out. Is here tonight. It is winding to get here closer to that halfway point, but I think the biggest thing is, if I'm looking at the situation, Drew Blaze is gotta be sitting here saying, this is shaking out not too bad for me, with as many guys going laps down, getting wrecked out of this race. I mean, the likes of there's only 12 cars out on track at the moment actually turning laps, while others are sitting in pit road, some of them still getting a little damage repair. But for the likes of Drew Blaze, even if he gets caught up in something, he's gonna almost finish in the top 10 regardless.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. If he finishes within the top, I believe 9, he is still able to win this championship. There's, even with all the maximum bonus points, losing points, it's around 7th and 9th place. So you kind of need to make sure you're doing better than if you're Blaze, if you want to automatically lock in your championship. And there's nothing that Mice can do. But speaking about other contenders joining in the mix, we've got ourselves some lap cars, lead lap drivers, collecting some friends that's allowed them to catch up to the lead lap crew. That's Paul Boomershine, Paul Olson. They latched on board with Ken Couch as well as Kenneth Blackburn, and they have ran down our top 4. It helps when they're not going at maximum speed, it looks like, for our leaders. They're running about a half a second off. Looks like they're trying to save a little bit of fuel as the 94 Gruel will run on the outside. But Zach, we might be seeing this lead pack row into more drivers as well. We have lost another one. Jacob D. Booth officially out of this race as he pulled it into pit road, left the server. So that means there's a couple of positions that can grab by Watts, Blackburn. If Wright can find a way to get out there on track, but at least Watts and Blackburn can grab a couple of more positions for themselves.
Yeah, you can grab a few more, especially, still something happens. As long as you're completing laps and we're within 10 to go, they technically can make up the time if someone goes out of this race. So for the likes of them, they'll probably continue to keep out there completing laps and just see what they can end up grabbing by the end of the night. And then if you never know, I mean, for the likes like a Ken Couch or something, if Grewell can get back on that lead lap and we get a caution, he'll be, in position to get that lucky dog. And you never know. We've seen people come back from multiple laps before, and if anything, you're there to put yourself in a position late to go, and you only need one lap at a super speedway, really. So we'll see how that positions themselves. But for the time being, Klein's still running behind Don Francesco, Austin Mice running in second, Drew Blaze there in third. And if you're Austin Mice, the question is, what is your decision to do here? Really, you're kind of in a sticky situation with being the 88 behind you. If you go to pull out here and try to even lead a lap, you're really probably not going to get the help from the 88. You know that for a fact. So you're going to have to look for someone farther behind to help you.
As now that second pack officially is latched on Caden Watts, as well as Ken Couch, Boomer Shine, as well as a few others of Gruel, and Nicholas DeFrancesco leads the way, trying to stay on the lead lap. I mean, majority of the field, they have got back up with one another. You look at everyone that is still out there on track, well, they're all in this shot. Everyone is latched on except for one in Austin Gruel. Poor Gruel, first driver 1 lap down, was not able to stay attached to the 94, heavily damaged and just limping on his own as everyone else in the lead pack.
Looking back from the 51, you can see the likes of the 97 Austin Ice. He's going to have Drew Blaze, like we said, they're right behind him, but see everybody in line for the time being. I think you're going to see a lot of this for the majority of the race. We've seen when they get too wide, it's when the incidents have played out. It's really been the times that we've seen the yellows. You know, we were riding green there for a while until the 25 unfortunately brought out that yellow by stopping on the apron there at the exit pit road. And ever since, you know, we had that yellow, they stacked them back up. They raced for a little bit, wrecked. I think it kind of spooked everybody back into saying, all right, well, we don't really want to race because, you know, quickly we'll be one of the ones sitting on pit road also. So everybody's spooked into the bottom line and just looking to complete laps at this point, as it's still not even to the halfway point, as we're about a lap away.
Well, we've lost over half of the field at this point, and we're just down to about 11 that are still running here this evening out on track. That is your 11 that are still going. We've got only 7 on the lead lap, and we still have half of the Daytona 500 to go. We started with 22. How many more can make it to the second half? We'll find out as we're going to take another commercial break. Still more pit stops to be placed before the racing is done, but the choo-choo train is lined up. Punch your ticket and hope that you make it to the end as the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series Season 1, the Daytona 500 finale, is slowly ticking away. Just 100 more laps to go. Who's going to take the win in the championship? We'll find out after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. It's the Daytona 500 finale to crown the very first season champion. To see, can we see a first-time winner in this series, or will someone else find their way back into victory lane? Been an up-and-down evening. We've had some shenanigan wrecks, some shenanigan overblows, and a couple of moments that you question what in the world's going on. But that was all in the first half. We're now into the second half of this race, and only 12 drivers are out on track. Gotta give kudos to Corbin Wright. Got the damage repaired. He was sitting in pit road for over 10 minutes, and he's back out on track. 14 laps down. But we are down to just 6 drivers on the lead lap as Nicholas DeFrancesco went from leading and tried his best to stay on the lead lap to now in the middle of the grouping. As we are back here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, my name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall and Robin Warrior Jr. running productions in the background. Here's your ticker board currently. A couple of passes going on while we were under that commercial break. Greg Watchinski, Paul Olson, and Paul Boomershine made the opportunity to make the pass to get by the 24. And Zach, this has got to be a good sign for Paul Boomershine on the fact that he is putting down some pretty good lap times, even with being involved that last wreck. The timing of some of these cautions have allowed him to fully repair this vehicle. 92, not fully out of this, and one of the best pushers of the evening, still in the hunt.
He's definitely been one of the best pushers for sure, and good to see Paul Olson up there in the top 2 for him. You know, he got that caution to get back on the lead lap. Now he's back up here in the mix, and he's going to have an opportunity to have one of his best finishes of this season. So we'll see how that works out for that team of the 23. But at the time right now, again, everybody looking to just put laps down. We're 30, or well, at least for our leader, Greg Watchkinski, is about 30 laps into this end here. So I think you're going to see about another 10 laps before pits road really starts to transpire, and we start to see some of these guys elect to come down here, get some fuel in the tire and fuel in their cars. It's going to be interesting too to see what kind of strategies are called theirs. I think we actually had a car pull off. I think that was Grewell in the 94. So, or no, sorry, it was Blackburn in 155. Yeah.
Currently 6 laps down, going into pit road, which is kind of shocking. Last time he pit was 27 laps ago. So he's not in that range of being completely out unless he did not pack it full of fuel. Also in the evening, we've seen a couple of drivers here in the last 20 laps pull off and say, all right, well, that's my season. Well, you can see a little bit more movement as the 24 of Nicholas DeFrancesco now going to fall back to the end of the line, because with seeing some of these drivers and the way they've moved around, kind of put them in a spot where there really is nowhere for them to lose position. So we'll see Nicholas be the first car 1 lap down, just hovering and waiting. As currently an update on Kenneth Blackburn, he is still in pit road, and he's getting service done and just sits to get repairs done, take his fuel, tires, and continues to wait on. They continue to race, stay in line, the train of drivers and where they're at. Zach, 6 drivers on the lead lap currently. There's still a long one to go. Looks like a little bit of reports of potential pit stops going to happen as the 5 of Greg Watchinski is going to be the next one saying he's pitting, and Paul Olson over the radio, he as well will be following in suit.
Early stop here. Interesting to see, because 32 laps to his stint, 28 for Olson. Could definitely went farther on fuel, but I wonder if they're just sticking to a number here at this point. So look at him come to pit road, but I think we might have an issue there. Yeah, Paul Olson a little too deep. That's going to be a black flag.
And
Same for Paul Boomershine. So both the Pauls, unfortunately, caught from black flags there. That is so tough to see for them, because they're going to lose, out in this group now.
And that is the second time we've seen Paul Olson get caught with speeding on entry, and that is a frustrating spot to be. I mean, it might have been a little bit nervous of the drivers behind him running him over, so trying to scoot his way a little bit faster, but drivers that stay out going to be those that are hoping for maybe a quick caution now. Nicholas DeFrancesco going to be the driver in 7th place, and he will grab at least 2 positions with Boomershine and Olson being got with speeding penalties on entry. 24 should get those spots away. Ken Couch heads into pit road. Going to be Gideon Watts as well as DeFrancesco continue to stay out as the race off of pit road is underway for Blaze Mice and so many more.
Once again, the 88, he's just excellent off of pit road. He's done it a couple times now here where he's left pit road and just gained a bunch of time, but also that 8.1 seconds on box there on the pit road, that's going to help out. I think, again, just taking fuel for that 88 team, and I think a few others maybe elected just to take right sides or something there, because a little bit longer on a few of those stops. But it looks like for the time being, everybody will be grouped up as they've got back up to Drew Blaze, and our top 4 of Austin Mice, Greg Watchsky, and Chris Klein will all be lined up here as they cross the start finish line.
Another driver out of this race, and it is Kenneth Blackburn. He has officially left the server, so another one bites the dust as we continue to race on. And Blaze back up front, Mice behind him. And for Drew Blaze, again, no longer having Mike Fahey behind him or in front of him to lead laps or defend. This is the most in danger Drew Blaze has been all race long. Question is, will Austin Mice get the help of watching Sky and Klein behind to maybe make a pass for the lead, get some laps led? And with the amount of laps that are still left in this race, I mean, still compete for the most laps led. Could the 97 here if he really decides to pressure on and get up front and get some help?
That would be smart for him to do. I mean, the time is ticking for that for sure. I mean, you know, you don't want to wait too long, but especially because Drew has led a small portion of laps so far already. So he's got the upper hand on you there. You're going to have to quickly get ahead of him. But the question is, like, you know, who's going to help you here? Is the 5 going to help you or the 51? Because that is got to be the huge question in the back of your mind. If you ain't got the help, it's going to be almost impossible to get around the 88 just with that. So we'll see what the 97 elects to do. But I think at some point, he's got to try to get ahead of him and not let Drew get out here and possibly lead the most laps.
As our top 4 up front in a pretty comfortable position. Behind them is a little bit of racing action, as it is going to be Nicholas DeFrancesco dealing with lap cars that are trying to get around each other and positioning for potentially another stop, as Nicholas DeFrancesco is going to have to hit pit road in the next 5 laps or so, but he needs a caution and make sure that he's not involved with it to get on the lead lap. Also, Paul Olsen, Paul Boomershine, they're both still in the lead lap, but 45 seconds, it's going to be 39 seconds, excuse me, off of this lead pack that you see on screen. So they got a better hope for some help, because this has kind of been the talking point of the evening, is find your help as it continues on. And it certainly is a wild one for these drivers. But for us of the booth, we are going to step away another time. We will be back right after this, as it has been coming to the end of the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series, race number 16, coming to an end of this first season. Who will take it for this 200 lap race? We will find out here shortly, as it's been a long one, but the drivers are slowly figuring out who will be the champion. Will it be the 88 or the 97? And can they find their way into victory lane? We'll find out right after this.
Does that mean the coast is clear?
Oh, look at this.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series, the final race. Well, let's change the name. We're not finishing the full 500 laps. The reason why we were under such a long commercial break, we were under a little bit of conversation with the admins. The admins had a vote with the drivers, and it has come down to we've got ourselves 22 laps to go. We're racing to lap 150 now. With the amount of drivers that are still left, well, it's too small. They don't want to continue to race on. Zach, that's a decision the drivers threw out to the admins. The admins agreed. Hey, we just called the show. We're racing to 150, and there's only 4 drivers left on the lead lap, and they're all in this shot as the Pauls have joined them.
Pauls have joined them, like you said. Yeah, they're 1 lap down with that black flag penalty for speeding on pit road. They're going to be sitting here going, we could have been right here in this group fighting for it, but that's going to be tough for them to swallow, I'm sure. But if anything, they can play a factor here. You know, we would have had just 4 cars in this league group. Now we're going to have 6. That at least helps some type of action be able to play out here. I'm just questioning when it's going to happen. I think the biggest thing, it's already said and done that, you know, there's no way Austin Mice can lead the most laps in this race. I think if anything, I believe one and win this is going to be his goal, but he's got to hope for some problems for the likes of that 88 because it is dwindling in time here now as we're only going to lap 150.
Yeah, and we're only going to lap 150. So you look at the drivers that are left in this race. I'm going to throw out the number of if we see Drew Blaze finish within the top 9, and even if Austin Mice gets every bonus point, it still might be enough for Blaze to win the championship. We will not know the number until after this race is over and they do all the finalizations of bonus points, deductions of points on where drivers are at. But if you're Austin Mice, you might need this 88 to get taken out now, so there's enough laps for the rest of the drivers that are still running to pass them, because you got multiple drivers a lap down or more, and if he finishes in the top 4, Drew Blaze is winning this championship as they try to get by Corbin Reich, who goes down for a 15th lap. And this is it, the final 20 laps of tonight's race. We will not be racing to lap 200. The drivers and admins have decided to cut it short. We're going to lap 150 now. That is the finishing number when we complete that lap.
Have to see how that's going to shake things up. I think that was the biggest reasoning that we've seen the pit stops transpire when they did. I think when they got that window to say, we can make it to the end, they darted to pit road is what majority did there. So that was kind of what the reason why it caught, I think, us off guard a little bit up here with that pit stop timing. But no surprise now with the details we've been given. Of course, is Klein, the first driver on the lead lap to jump up to the outside line. He's actually gotten side by side. We'll watch this guy, and you can see when you get side by side like that, you just pull your other driver back so far that they're going to have a big run on our top 2, if anything, here right here. This is going to be interesting.
And how are they going to race respectfully and just let the top 2 race it out? Are you willing to race for the win? There's a lot on the line. Chris Klein still looking for that first win of the season. Paul Boomer Shine's been the best pusher in the 92. He's going to be the first driver 1 lap down in that yellow and that orange and black machine. Where will Paul go? Where can he help out in any way, or is that driver too damaged? We saw earlier, thought that maybe he got the damage repair to stick fast enough to maybe compete, but that might not be the case anymore. And Zach, I mean, this is looking like, yes, it is less than 20 laps to go in this race. The drivers are only racing to lap 150 if you're just joining us now. So a shocker to us, I know a shocker to some of the viewers on the fact that has been changed. But Zach, I mean, with just 4 drivers really competing for the win at this moment, it looks impossible to make any moves when you're just 1 going against everyone else in the line.
It does get very, very difficult. I mean, it's going to take a group effort. And when the group is, in smaller numbers, it makes that group effort tougher. So we're going to have to see, who can kind of gather up together and make something happen. But they've also got the now of Corbin Reich with the group. So it's added another car, but we'll have to see when the moves are made. I think they're still going to wait out a lot of this just because they know the timing of things. If you make the move now, I mean, the drivers are going to be able to make a move on you in another lap anyway. So I think you're going to see a lot of them get to about 140, 145, and then we'll probably see a lot of these moves start to be made.
And Zach, I mean, just letting the viewers know, because we are cutting this race short at lap 150 again, is going at the end of lap 150, this race will be cut off by the drivers. We won't even get end results properly. They're going to have to go back and manually put in every driver and where they finished when crossing the line. We're not even going to get end results properly. This is going to be a very awkward ending for us. We've never really had a race end before they've completed all the official laps. So end results are going to be very wonky at the end of this broadcast, as well as when they figure out the points. It's going to take longer than our usual time for us to officially crown a champion, unless we see Drew Blaze finish within 2 positions or even ahead of Austin Mice. Then we can officially crown Drew Blaze as your champion. But that's going to be the fun thing to watch out and see. And will Greg Watchinski go for a run? Will Chris Klein go for the win? You can tell by the 51, they want to go and figure out how to make a pass and challenge for the winning position. It's the question of, can he get help from anyone behind him? That is going to be the true question in these final 16 laps of this race, as we're racing to the end of lap 150.
Definitely, I almost got that feel of, you know, a Daytona 500 race where a little bit of a rain shower blowing in here late in the going, and it's going to bring us to, you know, you're racing to a certain number almost, you know, before that rain gets here. And we know when our rain shower is getting here at 150, so it will definitely be interesting to see the timing of when the moves are made. I think, again, Austin Mice says, like I said, if anything, I would still try to get this lead from Drew Blaze, because you know, we don't know how many laps some of these guys have led. Drew's been up here for a while. If anything, he's clicking off laps even more to possibly be, you know, getting that bonus point for the most laps led. And if anything, Austin, you got to try to get anything you can out of it. I know the chances are slim because of just how many cars are left on the lead lap, but you got to go for anything, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is now, I think it's either going to Drew Blaze or Mike Fahey on most laps led here tonight, based off how much they were up front, especially throughout the long green flag run before we had Joshua Augusta decide to come to a complete stop after leaving pit road. That kind of threw away the giant long run we were on. And Drew Blaze, he has been up front, trying to stay in control. And we've had Greg Watchinski up there a couple of times. We've got a couple of different leaders throughout this race. Well, let's just bring it up one more time, as we've got now 14 laps to go in this race. Our race report, if you're just joining us in the final countdown, I know this is going to hurt a lot of viewers that were hoping to see the finale of this race live. Because of us cutting it short, maybe a couple of people had their timer set for in 40 minutes to show up, but we've had 3 cautions so far this evening. We've had ourselves 19 lead changes, 10 different leaders. Majority of this run's been under green flag conditions, which is great to see. But Zach, 14 laps, about to be 13 laps to go in this race for Drew Blaze, Austin Mice, Greg Watchinski, and Chris Klein, the only drivers on the lead lap so far out of the 22 that tried to race here tonight.
You know, you look back to the start of the season here with us when we came in, you know, we looked around, you know, Sam, you talked to people, you heard through the bushes, through the grapevines, that it was Drew Blaze, the guy that everybody talked about that was going to be the man to beat for the championship. Well, those people did not lie, because he is sitting in position to win this championship with 13 to go, and time is dwindling away for the likes of Austin Mice to have an opportunity. But you got to give them a shout out. Both of these two have fought all the way down to the very end of this thing. And what do you know? Leading 1-2 in the final few laps of it, it just shows that's why they've gotten to this point at this moment of the season. I
mean, both have been so consistent all season long. You got to think of the top 10s for both drivers. They tie in that category of 12 top 10s entering tonight. Drew Blaze has just been better on the overall finishes. 11 top 5s, 4 wins, compared to Austin Mice's 2 wins in 9 top 5s. And these are the 2 drivers that lead also in the top 5 category. Wins, you got to give credit to Colin Clary, who had 4 wins, tying Drew Blaze. So Blaze tonight, if he wins, would have the most wins of all drivers this season. Colin Clary's luck, though, just wasn't there this season. He got absolutely ruined by the net code of this Gen 6 car throughout the season, and lap cars getting involved with him. But right now, speaking about lap cars, we got another one they're going to be passing. That's Austin Gruel, as, oh no, Blaze heading to pit road. Blaze has to go into pit road, get service done. What is going on with the 88? Again, we are racing to the end of 150, and he's going in for fuel and tires.
Did he? Because his pit stop was only 8 seconds that last time. Did he have enough fuel in, Sam? That is my question right now.
I mean, I don't know what's going on. He's leaving pit road. It's a splash and go for Drew Blaze. And again, now it's going to be up to the calculator of where's Austin Mice on bonus points that he can collect. What is Drew Blaze's number going to be after this race is over? And Paul Boomershine and others are trying to run down the 88. And a couple of more positions could be lost for Drew Blaze if he cannot get up to speed and stay in a fighting position when the lead pack catches this 88 team, because he will be caught before this race is over. 10 laps to go, and Drew Blaze did not have the fuel to make it to the end of 150 laps. That is our cutoff number that the admins and drivers voted for in the middle of this race that they changed it to.
Oh, this is just everything. We're up here scratching our heads going, what's going on right now for sure? And I mean, you're going to have Watching Sky and Klein here who are going to be looking for maybe a victory here in this season. Klein hasn't won one this season. He would love to get up into that victory lane. The likes of Watching Sky has that victory from Bristol. We'll have to see how this shapes up. But yeah, they're going to catch up to Drew Blaze pretty quickly. He's going off in the middle, 1 and 2 right now. And Mice going into 1 here. So it's about a corner that separates them from Drew Blaze, and they'll quickly be there in a matter of moments. Just like you said, can he latch on quick enough to fight the likes of Boomershine and Olsen? Because if he drops back to 6, we got some questions.
We certainly will have questions. And Austin Mice, he's also got to be worried about if he hits people challenging for a win. Do not collect incident points of accidentally bumping a driver into the outside wall or into the grass. You got to hope that they don't hit you too hard so you lose an incident point. There's a lot on the line for the 97 as he needs to win to get every bonus point possible for a chance for the championship, as Drew Blaze hits, does not have the fuel, and is being ran down by our leaders. He is currently 7 seconds ahead of Austin Mice and being caught rapidly as Klein tried to attempt for a move to get into second place. Doesn't work out. Watching Sky holds for second, and Mice dropping low, staying low, and Watching Sky gets out of the way, and he falls to the outside groove, and it's going to be collected by Paul Olsen. The teammates that joined all the way back at Watkins Glen might be the duo that can help the 5 into victory lane here tonight. Again, we are racing to the end of lap 150, and the teammates are full of working together.
You know, if they're too wide here, I think this helps the like of Drew Blaze, catching on to at least being able to battle the likes of the Pauls. So that's going to be a sight to see when they get to him. But again, Watching Sky drops low, gets to the back bumper of Chris Klein, but now Klein in the 51 here to the back bumper of the 97. Who is going to work with who is going to be the question here when we come down to these final few laps.
We went from this is not even looking like a championship worry for Drew Blaze to now there's some question marks. Again, we have zero idea of where the live points are at because of how many bonus points are on the line from most positions gained, which Austin Mice would get for himself. That's 1 bonus point. Leading the lap goes to Austin Mice. Also having, if he wins, that's 1 bonus point. If he finishes the race, that's 2 bonus points. You finish with 0 incident points, that's another 2 bonus points. Fastest lap of the day was one that was on the line. It looks like Greg Watching Sky was one of the competitors going for that one, as well as Paul Boomershine, driver that has currently, I believe, is that 92 Zach. Just looking quickly at the board, but this is certainly an interesting time of, is it the 97? Is it the 88? The championship's on the line, and it might come down to these final 5 laps as Drew Blaze decided to pull off track to top off on fuel. Is finally giving us some drama to talk about here in the final, coming up to 5 laps of this race.
That he has, and he is now in the mix here almost, as he's got the likes of Caden Watts in that 30. You can see up ahead, those 2 cars. Drew Blaze is in that grouping. He is pushing the 30 for every little bit he can. He wants to see if he can get as much up the speed, because that's going to help him fight the likes of Boomershine, the likes of Paul Olsen, and that could be critical. Those 2 spots could be so critical here coming down to the end.
some of the drivers over the radio for these last 40 laps have been talking about, well, you need the points more than I do. You've been in the lead longer. This is a chance to change up a championship. If you decide to get a little bit aggressive for Paul Olsen and Boomer Shine, you are the changing factors potentially here tonight. That is 2 points that could potentially be a championship winning move or losing move, as Austin Mice leads the charge with 4 laps to go here this evening from Daytona, the last race of the season. We're changing it up. We're not going to 200. We're going to end of lap 150. That is the final lap of this race, unless we get a caution, and then it's up. Our hands are up in the air. We have no idea what we're doing after that. But right now, it's Mice, Klein, Watching Sky, the only drivers on the lead lap, as they are running down Blaze, the last driver on the lead lap, and a championship hopeful here this evening.
We are. We'll see how this works out, as now Austin Mice with the push from the 51 of Chris Klein. What will he do if he gets to Drew Blaze? That is going to be the question. What is he willing to do here? Is he's going to have to look to carry the momentum around him. You can't push him. You got to try to bring the line around him and get him farther back in positions.
As they continue to close in the gap, now going to be within the draft help is Austin Mice, Klein, Watching Sky, and the rest of the drivers that are a lap down being Boomer, Shine, Olsen, Reich, as well as going to be Gruel, doing their best to stay in the action. They're now going to be catching up and bringing in Blaze Watt, the lone driver that's out there that's just having his fun by himself, is Ken Couch, who's also about to be caught. All 11 drivers about to be in one shot, and Mice has moved high. Mice is losing ground. Mice is losing the lead, and Mice falls in line as they try to get by Watts, and Blaze leads the pack. And that one shuffle, the one move, could that have been the costly moment for Mice to lose a championship?
Just didn't have the help. It was Chris Klein. He said, nope, I'm not going high. I'm going low to help out the 88 and stick with him. And Klein takes the lead now in position, and he's only got to stay ahead of him now. They're coming to the King Couch. That was close.
Couch stays low. Everyone with the lead. Dashing move to the outside. Klein continues to push the 88. Now we'll duck low. Now we're going to be seeing Mice follow in suit. Watching Sky looking for a hole to drop down in as well to the inner groove. We're coming up to the white flag. This is it for these drivers. They voted for the final lap to be the end of lap 150. It's Klein, Mice, Watching Sky, and the rest of the field racing on. Olsen and Boomer Shine. Will they close in to try to catch Blaze and pass them to change up the fates of potentially the championship? Or is it all just Blaze holding on for 4th championship in grass, and Klein trying to get his first career win of the season?
Here goes Watching Sky down the back straightaway. He's jumping out to the outside of the 97. No help with the 97 there, so he's going to have Drew Blaze push him, but I don't think the 88's going to want to do that. Is now Austin Mice with the run here, possibly late, but it's the 5 looking to get the run.
Trying to get the help. It's going to be Paul Olsen helping his teammate. The 5 looking for the run on the outside. Klein to the fence, side by side. And it's going to be Chris Klein with the win. Yellow is thrown. And that is officially it. Count the yellow as a checkered flag. The admins have thrown it. And Chris Klein is your winner. Mice will be in second. It's Watching Sky going to be finding himself in that 3rd position. I'm curious if we can quickly bring up the results, because I think that might be the only way we can do it with these drivers. Here's your unofficial results. It's Klein, Mice, Watching Sky, Blaze, Paul Olsen, Boomer Shine, Nicholas Francesco, Ken Couch, Caden Watts, and also going to be Austin Gruel, going to be your top 10. Here's the rest of your 22 drivers at the time of crossing the line in yellow. So that's your unofficial results. If the admins want to quickly go through and take screenshots of that, just changing it up from what because of the situation we're in, we have to quickly do that as they're crossing the line now. But Zach, a bizarre one. We're still gonna have to wait on admins to officially give us the call on who's the champion, but believe it might be Drew Blaze. Who knows?
Yeah, unless he's got some crazy racked up amount of incident points, I think Blaze has got this in the bag. I think if he was in 6, it could have been a little closer. But with fourth, I think we're going to see the 88 be champion, and Austin Mize come up a little bit short. But it's Chris Klein in victory lane in the 51. So we're going to have a new victory here for the 51 and a champion in the 88 of Drew Blaze, possibly.
Possibly. We'll officially go talk to Chris Klein and Austin Mice and Watch Sky. And once we get an official word, we'll see if we're talking to Blaze as well during interviews. As we will step away when we come back, we'll talk to our drivers, see where they're at, where if it's championship drivers or not. We'll see in just a few moments. But congratulations to Chris Klein getting his win to end the season for the 51 here for the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series. Season 1 in the books. Is it Mice? Is it Blaze? We'll find out after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show. Tonight, we had a little bit of an interesting one. Had to cut the race short. Drivers' admins decided to vote and called it a early finish for these drivers. Instead of doing the full 200 laps, we did 150. And driver that found himself in victory lane goes to Chris Klein. Let's bring in the 51. Get his thoughts on this evening. Chris, congratulations on grabbing yourself a victory this season. We've seen you be up front throughout the season. There's been times where you've had top 3 speed, but tonight you made the winning move. How are you feeling after winning here at Daytona on these 150 laps?
I'm pretty excited. I messed up and didn't even realize that this season had started. I wasn't really paying attention, and Drew put on Discord a few weeks back that he needed some drivers, and I was like, hey, I'll race tonight, no big deal. And Drew's like, you're already signed up, I don't have to sign you up. So I've been able to be a part ever since, and always enjoy running the Lonestar leagues. Tonight me and Austin and Nick got together and the very end of practice, and I just said, hey, do you guys have anybody to work with? And they were both like, no. And I'm like, well, let's work together and see if we can't put something together. And all three of us worked really well together. I thought I ruined it on that first green flag pit stop. I slid through my box and hit the wall and made a mess of it, but we were luckily got together with a good group and tracked down Drew and Mike, and it was a fun night.
Definitely was. Congrats on the win there, Chris. It was awesome to see you get a win here to close out the season here at Daytona, especially. Like you even said about pit road there, we've seen a lot of people have mistakes on the pit road. How tough was it getting on the pit road? Because I think it was a really critical part here tonight.
It's always critical. Drew and Mike and Justin Johnson. There's a couple of guys in here that do a phenomenal job on pit road. Drew's taught me through the years. I've raced with him for quite a while. That there's so much time to be made up on and off pit road. You saw when the first round of green flag pit stops were up, I think they were 6 or 7 seconds out on the majority of the field. And luckily the majority were in the back behind them, and we were a little faster pace and able to catch up. But when you do that at a mile and a half or a half mile, and you're getting beat by a second and a half, 2 seconds on a round of pit stops, after 3 or 4 on a green flag pit stops in a row, that's half a lap. It adds up quick.
It certainly does add up quick. I mean, Chris, this was certainly an interesting season overall. I know you didn't realize that it started until later on, but this season, how would you grade yourself, and how was it overall for yourself, and now prepping for next season for yourself overall?
Yeah, that's I just talked to Austin and Nick and told them, I said, as good as tonight went, as well as we worked together, I'd love to try to do that all next season and have some guys to bounce ideas off and try to figure out how to work together to be faster and be more competitive and give some of these other guys a run for money. I know Austin won several throughout the year, so he's already fast and knows what he's doing. So maybe he can teach me something about something other than a super speedway race.
Well, congratulations once again, Chris, on the victory. And before we let you go, the floor is yours for any other shout outs.
Yeah, I just thank Justin and Drew for putting on a great series. They always do a good job over here at Lonestar. They do a very good job of moderating and keeping everything clean and respectful. They've always put on some great leagues throughout the years that I've been a part of it. So thank them. Thank you guys for the broadcast. Very professionally done. Really appreciate that. It's a lot of fun to go back and watch them. So really appreciate you guys. And last but not least, all the participants, everybody that comes out and takes time out of their Monday night to make this an event worth watching. It's a lot of effort to come out here and run. I mean, we didn't run the whole 200 laps tonight. We all agreed to shorten it up based on some of the accidents, and the field got so small. But that's a lot of time to commit to come out and hang out together and do these events.
It certainly is. Well, Chris, enjoy this win, enjoy the off season, and good luck next season.
Thank you. You guys have a good night.
You too. As we move down from first place, we go down to, I believe it's third place on our ticker, but technically he finished second, which will be find ourselves with the 97 of Austin Mice coming away with second place here this evening, and we believe will also be second in the championship. We're still waiting for official call, but it looks like unofficially, Austin, you come up shy. But how was your running here tonight? Because it looked like you were trying everything right to stay out of trouble. It just wasn't enough for victory lane.
Yeah, you were spot on. Just survival mode till the end. Actually worked with Chris Klein and Nicholas and a couple other guys all night long, and we had great teamwork, put ourselves in a great position, and it was a dogfight to avoid everything going on. And as we got close to the end there and we started losing cars, and I think at one point only had 8 cars on track, it was pretty obvious that we just weren't going to be able to win the championship. And at that point, we were just hanging out, and whoever could get the win. But still, overall, it was fun all night. I just wish we could have had more cars stick around. But yeah, take P2.
Yeah, definitely an unfortunate situation there that it didn't really get the opportunity too much there to have something play out there with so many people involved in that first major wreck there, Austin. But we looked to call the race at 150 instead of going to 200. how did that kind of affect your strategy? We seen everybody pit. We were kind of caught off guard at first because we hadn't had the information, but was everybody's kind of goal there to get to a pit road at a certain time because they knew they could make it to the end from there?
Yeah, working with Chris and Nicholas, we planned to pit ahead, of what others probably were thinking. The idea was if we could catch Drew off guard, we could kind of leave him hanging out. But when he's back there and there's so few cars, there's just not much he can do really in that front. But we were just going until we knew we could make it, which I think when I finished, I ran out the next lap. So, and of course, Drew had to come in early because he was out front and I was pushing him a little bit, making him use some fuel. So it was right on the line of making it or not. And that was our point.
I mean, Austin, this was an incredible season. Just looking at the stats, both yourself and Drew were top 2 in top 10s and top 5s. You end the season off with 10 top 5s, 13 top 10s. I mean, how was it as a season for yourself? Because you also grabbed those 2 wins that, honestly, you might have been able to grab more with the way you had speed throughout this season.
Yeah, overall, I'm happy with the season. It's my first run at a championship, so while it stinks to come just short of the championship, we'll take it. To your point, we missed Miami, arguably missed Nashville with the wrong tire call. If we take 2 instead of 4, maybe have a chance to fight Drew for the win. Out early at Charlotte, it could keep going on where it just seemed like left and right I was just either making the wrong call or just not putting it all together when it mattered. I think we at least should have 2 more wins that are reasonable arguments anyway. But nonetheless, Drew's fast. He's great. Colin's great. Had some bad luck, or otherwise I think he might have been in my spot or won the thing. But overall, this league's awesome. Love racing with these guys. You learn a lot from them and something I can hang the hat on and be satisfied with.
Well, Austin, it was a great season to call. Congratulations on an incredible season and coming away second here tonight. And before we officially let you go, the floor is yours for any other shout-outs.
Yeah, I want to thank Demon Decals. Been thanking them all year. They came on board. Appreciate them. Jeff over at McConey Setup Shop actually gave me some pointers for tonight, so shout out to him for that. We got Skip and Sons Heating and Air, 76 Customs, DCS Underground. Of course, you guys for being here every night, especially on these long ones. Appreciate it. And of course, the league admins for putting this on, getting everybody organized and settled in, and everybody who checked in all year and kept tabs. So it's been fun.
Well, that will be the 97 machine of Austin Mice coming away second so far here tonight and second in the championship. Austin, congratulations on an incredible season. Enjoy it. And if you're back for next season, good luck.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you.
As that will be Austin Mice from second place. We go down to third to talk to Greg Wachinska, the driver who did his best to go for a win. Just needed a little bit more help on the outside, but Greg, you come away third here tonight. Still a great running position for yourself. How are you feeling, though, coming away third at the end of the evening?
It feels pretty good. Just finishing a race at Daytona is an accomplishment, so I'm happy to finish third. Congratulations to Drew for the championship. Austin, those guys are good hard racers. Fun.
Definitely was a valiant effort there out tonight there for you, Greg. I mean, coming down to the end, not many cars there in that, that pack left after some big incidents tonight, catching out some people. How tough was it to make something happen with, on the smaller side of things, the cars?
Well, I had fallen way back there earlier in the race. I got into it with somebody and we fell back, and then we were able to, 2 or 3 of us got lined up and cut like 10 seconds off the lead. So then we got lucky, got a caution. So I'm just kind of lucky to even be back in it, really, because I was way out of it. I mean, it's Daytona. You just try to push the car in front of you and finish the race, man. It's all it is.
Well, you certainly did finish it with the top 3, but Greg, you joined halfway through the season. We knew that you weren't eligible really for a championship with the amount of races that you missed out on, but you were always a competitor up front. What was it like, hopping in midway through to being one of those threats to ultimately finally getting your win at Bristol and then capping it off with the top 3?
I mean, it's been fun. I mean, I haven't really driven these cars since we used to drive them, so they're fun cars. I like them. was nice getting back in them, and I'm just fortunate that I've had a lot of success in the portion of the season I was able to run. So, I'm very familiar with the next gen car. So hopefully next season I'll be right back up there racing for the win.
We cannot hope that you do well for yourself. But Greg, before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any of the shout outs.
As always, I always like to shout you guys out for taking the time what you do, and Drew and Justin for putting on the league. Austin, he's another good guy out there. Everybody in the league is just a bunch of good guys, very respectful. There's no fighting or arguing going on in here, which is pretty rare in iRacing, even in leagues. So it's a good environment. I like it. Good people. Shout out to my race team, G&G Racing. Actually, be one more of us next season. Buddy Kenny's going to probably come race in the league too. So we'll see you guys next year.
Well, we hope for the best of luck for yourself, Greg. Congratulations on third. Enjoy it, and good luck next season.
Thank you. You guys take care.
You too. As we move from third place, we go down to the driver who finishes in fourth here this tonight. Had to make an emergency pit stop, but there weren't enough drivers to get by him. And at the end of the day, the 88 of Drew Blaze, congratulations. You are the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series GEN6 Season 1 champion. And I cannot believe how this race went down, Drew. Certainly had a lot of ups and downs. You had some hard contacts early on, but at the end of the day, you are the champion for this first season. How are you feeling after coming away fourth and having to fight and claw to just even finish in fourth place at the end?
Yeah, man, it's been a roller coaster of a season, up and down, and man, it's been a great racing with all these guys here, and I don't know, man. That emergency pit stop was not planned at all. I got thrown off by the pit strategy. Was not paying attention and didn't fill all the way up on fuel. So just had to make that pit stop and hope for the best. Was just trying to hang on the fourth, because you gotta fight and claw at every point here with all the bonus points and the penalty points and all that stuff. So you really never know what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's kind of where we were too there, Drew. We were trying to figure that all out, and we were definitely saying that you had to fight for that fourth spot and hold off those guys also that were right there around the lead lap down. So, I mean, that was definitely a wild scene. And with that many cars getting taken out early, I kind of asked a few of these other guys the same thing. We saw some of the moves you have to make out there, but when you get those lower amount of cars out there, it's kind of hard to make up those big moves. So, what was your kind of strategy at that point as the cars kind of started to dwindle down, especially after that first giant wreck?
Yeah, I was just trying to find my teammates and kind of ride with them, and hopefully they would be there at the end to, kind of help me along and just get a decent finish. And they kind of all disappeared in the matter of 100 laps or so. So that didn't work out too well. So I didn't know who I was going to have to work with or anything there at the end. So just giving it my all and leading as many laps as I could to try to get that most laps left bonus point, just making sure every point matters,
I mean, you certainly did that. I mean, Drew, right before we hopped on board, you came into this season 6th in points. And then once we started broadcasting, you grabbed your first win and you just made a huge rebound to ultimately be the champion. What was it like throughout this season once you got that win at Richmond and trying to carry on that momentum to who we are today as the champion?
Yeah, the season started out, it was really rough for me, honestly, and I'm not used to that. Not as rough as it was anyways, but I tend to get off to a slow start, but it was just really bad at the beginning for me. So it was definitely a different position for me to be in, and I had to adjust my mindset from trying to push and win every race that I could to just getting consistent finishes, if that means finishing, second or third or fourth, just being up there and getting all the points that I can and being more strategic and it definitely paid off. Yeah, it's just a lot of ups and downs, and I've had a lot of that. So definitely relieved to be done with this season and move on to the next and celebrate a championship.
At the end of the day, you are the champion. Congratulations on that, Drew. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Yes, sir. First of all, I got to thank you guys for broadcasting. It's been great having y'all on board. I appreciate everything y'all have done. And yeah, just got to give a shout out to everybody that's supported us here in this league. Be able to do it without these guys. In our past leagues, we haven't been able to. I don't even think we would have gotten the amount of cars that we had tonight. It just seems to really dwindle off the way we do points and everything. So, thanking these guys for showing up and showing out and putting on a race. Yeah, just got to thank my Lonestar Racing teammates for helping me all along the way, and everybody out there watching. I appreciate you guys.
Well, tonight he finishes 4th, but as all season altogether, your season 1 Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series and the Gen 6 car champion is Drew Blaze in the 88. Drew, enjoy this one and good luck in the offseason. Get prepared for the next season of the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Well, that will finish off our interviews here tonight. Our top 4 able to find a way at the end of this race. Again, drivers, admins deciding to shrink down the race. Instead of 200, 150. We already looked at our unofficial results. So we'll pass over that and immediately go into Zach. I mean, the season as a whole is in the books. That's it. Season 1 of the Gen 6 car is done. We heard from the admins. They're excited to move over to the next gen car. But sadly for us, we will not be returning. But this still was a fun season to watch and relive the glory days of the Gen 6 car.
It was, dude. It was so much fun to watch this car back. I love this car. I mean, I don't really like the 550 package, we see in some of the intermediates, but this car was always still so fun to race. And it was great to see a great new names out there that we've never called before. Pretty much everybody. Majority of those new drivers here at Lonestar for us. It was good to learn some new names out there in iRacing always. And of course, what a great way to end their season 2. It was a battle all the way down to the end with the championship. I'm just gotta say congrats to Drew Blaze, man. He really put it all together near the second half of the season. It didn't start off the greatest for him. He got that win at Richmond in kind of controversial fashion, and then all of a sudden kind of had a little bit of a lull, and then after that, it was just lights out for him. So he really deserved the championship, earned it, and fought very, very hard for it.
It was a crazy one at the end, and I know for people in the chat, they're hoping that we would have seen all 200 laps completed, but they will instead only complete the 150 here this evening, and it was Chris Klein taking the victory. But ultimately, it was the 88 of Drew Blaze with a total of 4 wins, 12 top 5s, 13 top 10s, leading in every category, or tied with someone in that category. He certainly was top of the class, and we're gonna miss the Lonestar guys and on Monday nights, but we are moving back to, I would say, home for us. We're going back to Monday nights with the Trinity Racing League, a group of guys that we have been calling for, crazy enough, almost 5 years. We have called those guys, and we're going back to work with them once again for season 3 of the Trinity Racing League. That is going to be our new home moving forward here in 2 weeks. We're excited to be back with those guys. And Zach, I know for a lot of us, we know this is going to be exciting racing action, as they're going to be in the O'Reilly's B car on iRacing, which their season 2 came down to the last race. And they certainly had a lot of drama down during that second season. So we know season 3 is going to be even crazier.
Oh, for sure. Definitely it's going to be some interesting times for there when we head there in about 2 weeks. But also, of course, we got BRB also tomorrow night and 802 on Thursday night. So it's going to be a fun time here on Freaky Fast. So if you enjoyed us throughout this season, we really did appreciate y'all here at Lonestar, everybody who's come through. If you want to see more racing action here on Freaky Fast and continue to follow us, make sure you hit that subscribe button.
Do not want to miss out on it. Tomorrow, like Zach said, we will be covering BRB, Sundance Pro Series. They're going to be taking the ARCA car to Kansas. Ran a couple of laps. That Kraken car combo is going to be a blast to watch. It's going to be pack racing. Who's going to have the better aero? Who's going to have the better tires? You're going to find out on who can survive the drama with the ARCA car tomorrow night here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. And then we'll see the 802 Next Gen Elite Series, taking the Next Gen cars to more mile-and-a-half racing action. Don't want to miss out on that. I believe they're heading to Texas this Thursday. But for us here tonight, it was a pleasure to give you the call for the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall and Robert Moyer Jr., it's been a pleasure to give you the call on Monday nights. We'll be back on Monday night coverage here in 2 weeks. And certainly was something special. Chris Klein taking the win. And it was ultimately the 88 of Drew Blaze taking the championship. Congratulations to all the drivers that competed this season. Congratulations to 88 on the championship and the 51 getting his first victory. But for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we will be back. More racing action in 2 weeks. We'll be covering the Trinity Racing League on Mondays. But if you can't wait until then, we'll see you tomorrow night. It's the BRB Sundance Pro Series. Taking the ARCA car to Kansas. Who's going to survive the chaos as the chase is right around the corner? We'll have to find out tomorrow night on our next Freaky Fast broadcast.
I was standing, staying still, never said what I feel. And every time I took the blame, carried all this quiet shame. Cause all the pressure in my chest, I've gotta fight to catch my breath. When every step still feels the same, trying not to break. Where do I go from here? Maybe I'll disappear. If I don't try, I'll never know. I'm waiting on you. Where do I go from here? There will be no more tears. Kill the doubt, feed the fire, hear the voice inside. It's my turn this time. They took a shot, now I want mine. You fall, I rise, I take the wheel. So this is how it feels. Where do I go from here?